We'll hear argument first this morning in Case 10-1259, United States v. Jones. Mr. Dreeben.
Mr. Chief Justice, and may it please the Court. Since this Court's decision in Katz v. United States, the Court has recognized a basic...
Before I introduce you, I'm going to give you some case names. I'm going to tell you what they all have in common. Okay. Carroll, Katz, Chimmel, Mims, Graham v. Connor, and U.S. v. Jones. All these cases, what they have in common is that their last name is synonymous with a major case that has changed law enforcement. You were at the center of a major case, Antoine Jones, that really fundamentally changed the way that we conduct searches in America. And so I'm glad to have you here. You came a long way. We were in Las Vegas filming this. You came all the way from D.C. Yes. You have been through an amazing legal journey, and there's going to be it's going to be raw in the sense you're going to tell us, what you went through, some of the things you went through, but we're going to end off on what you're doing today. You're also wearing a shirt that says Pro Se Litigator. I want to talk about that. Yes. But the first thing I want to do is introduce you to our audience. Tell us about your upbringing. DC mostly, right?
Yes.
Give us some backstory about who Antoine Jones is.
Well, Antoine Jones, I'm a Washingtonian all the way. Lived there all my life. Was raised 7 kids. My mother, she was a single family. It was a time in her life they had deemed her. The government said she was unfit. Mm-hmm. So because she was alcoholic. So what I did was, when I was young, maybe about 10, 11 years old, my mindset was, I'm out to take care of my family. I had an older brother, but he was out there doing his thing. And I wanted to do something legal at that young age. So I go knock on doors, government doors down Martin Luther King, ask them, can I dump their trash? They see a little kid doing that. They say, yeah, they give me a quarter, 50 cents. And I just save that money. Safeway right there, go get grocery, just like a grown person. A man child, take it home, make sure we'll eat. Because a lot of times, even when my mother got the check, she disappeared. So we had to fend for ourselves at a young age, till the government stepped in and put us in a place called Junior Village, and that's like an orphanage for people that the government take over, right? And we end up in the foster program.
All together?
And after,
but they separate you?
Yeah, they separate. I went with my younger sister and younger brother. Okay. So I took care of them. My oldest brother, they weren't going to take him because he was too streets. Mm-hmm. My sisters, they went into other different programs. So when we went into the program, it was okay. I learned a lot. They taught me a lot of things about actually manners, a lot of stuff that we didn't do when we was younger, good and bad. I wanted to be with my family. So I ended up in a group home. I think I was about the youngest person in there. And most of the people in this group home, it was guys that the courts put in there. But I got in there because me and my foster parent had got into an incident because he was drinking. And he had hit my youngest sister and youngest brother. And I just asked him, because they had taught us to be respectful in a respectful way. Please, can you not hit my sisters or brother while you're young? He looked at me because he was military. He was a retired colonel, big dude. Mm-hmm. But I was always a fighter. Even at that age, I think I was 14 at that time. And, he was drunk. Probably if he wasn't drunk, it wouldn't have happened. He tried to hit me. I caught him. He failed. So they put me out the program and put me in a group home. A lot of these places is when you learn all your illegal stuff.
Your bad habits.
Yeah, bad habits, because, I grew up in the projects, but now about 4 or 5 years, I'm with foster parents. And a lot of stuff that we did there, we didn't do. So I learned a lot. It was some days that, I wish I was with my family, but it was just a blessing just to learn a lot from them. At there, my mindset was to not break the law. Everybody in that house, that's their thing. It's big to break the law. But I'm not. My family, they still in the streets.
Right.
So the people at the house were saying, man, you know, I don't need to be there because they see everybody else there is heading a different direction. I'm going to school. I think everybody was in high school. I was in junior high school. That's like 9th grade. So my grandmother took me. But the neighborhood that she lived in is a rough neighborhood. So now I'm back from the projects, foster parents. Now I'm in back, you know, but I still got a reputation. My nickname is Toughy. So everybody know who Toughy is. So now when I come through there, now I'm back into that jungle. It's a different lifestyle. It's a different survival. You know, my parents and them didn't teach us life skills, but we know how we got survival skills. It's different.
Right.
You know, you could just survive in the streets. You can make money. You can take care, you can pay bills and do all that, but you still don't know about credit. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of stuff, even about coping skills. We wasn't taught that. So I was out on my own at 18. I was in the 12th grade. I decided to go get my own place. It was basically, now I'm grown because everything is moving. But now in the 80s, everything moving fast. The crack came, the powder cocaine came, and you know I'm grew up around a lot of these people that's making money, and I'm like, man, what's going on? I'm working 2 jobs.
What were you doing for jobs?
I worked for DC Department of Recreation. I started working there at 16 years old. Mm-hmm. At 18, I was working with the Hyatt Regency Hotel. I moved up to a manager, a nighttime supervisor, and an area supervisor in DC Rec. Both of them, you're supposed to have a college degree, but the type of person I was good with people and a good leadership, both those jobs I moved up. I even took a side job as a security. You know, I was making good money working 3 jobs.
Right.
But everybody around me who was, you know, like I always been a leader since I was young. You know, so everybody around me is making money. And I'm like, I'm working 3 jobs. One day I'm going home and I couldn't make it home because I was so tired. I mean, I couldn't make 2 blocks without falling asleep. So when I went home, I passed out and I said, there's got to be a better way. The neighborhoods that I worked in for recreation, they are neighborhoods where everybody call drug infested neighborhood. So it's like most of the drug dealers, they attract to me, and they like me
because your persona, right?
Yes.
Can I explore one thing before we go into some of the people who've influenced you? Because before the Jones case, you had another case that actually put you behind bars.
Right.
But your nickname was Toughy.
That's my nickname.
So were you tough with your hands and your mind? Or, I mean, did you get into like a lot of fights?
You know, back in the project, you know, it wasn't no shooting.
Okay.
It was like fighting. So even if you lose, you get respect.
Right.
As long as you fight. I never lose no fight.
So you were in a lot of fights.
Yeah. I mean, well, a lot of people don't want to fight me. Right. They're like, nah, I ain't messing with
because you have that reputation.
But, you know, the people that I fight seem like they always was older than me or bigger than me. Mm-hmm. And so everybody was like, oh, he got to be tough. He ain't scared of nobody. So I'm in junior high school, 7th grade. You see somebody look like a cold killer in the 9th grade. And as soon as I come, everybody telling them, oh, he'll fight anybody. It just was a reputation that I had. It wasn't that my parents taught us not to back down from nobody.
Right.
So I never backed down. I'm a fighter.
So that reputation almost kept you out of more fights because they don't want to fight you.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you good, even you gonna fight the best, or you're in the best. You know, back then and nowadays, the best usually be friends. They you know, it's totally different from now. Mm-hmm. You know, if you're a good fighter and I'm a good fighter, 9 times out of 10, if we even gonna go at it, or we gonna be best friends.
Right. It's either one.
Respect.
So you had this reputation, Toughy. You're working these 3 jobs. Now let's talk about you're going to start talking about the people in the neighborhood, the drug dealers, and so forth. They came to you.
Right.
Okay.
Well, actually, a lot of people who that were selling drugs, I know.
Right.
And if you know, it was always, if you gonna get in the game, Twan, we got you. And the people who was the underling was saying, the people that I coach, the people that I train, they going around with the nice cars and the nice clothes and the nice watch and the nice jewelry. What I had to work hard for it. They did it their way. And it was always, if you do it, we'll work for you. Northeast, Southeast, we'll work for you. So I decided, you know what? I am grandiose in a way, meaning that, I think I'm the best fighter. I think I'm the best this. And I think if I'm going to get into the drug game, I'm going to be the biggest.
Right.
That was, whatever I do, I'm going to be the best at it. If I'm a worker, I'm going to be the best worker that you have. If I'm a manager, I'm going to be the best manager you have. So I decided, when one time, some buddies, we still tight, and we laugh about way back in the days. And these guys had reputation in the streets, but they would always give me their money to hold. And one day it was enough. It was like I couldn't believe that they was making more money than my 3 jobs.
Like, how much are we talking about? I mean,
I'm telling you, this might have been. They said they made about $5,000.
In what kind of part? A day?
Yeah,
a week? A day?
They told me they made that last night.
Wow.
So I'm like, hold up, you making this type of money? Back then in the '80s, it was nothing to make that. If you go, because it was to them, it was fun.
Right.
So to be out there, to have the females, to have the bling bling, to have the music, that was their dream.
Right.
That wasn't my dream. But it hit me like, if they gonna work for me and they making 5,000, what is I'm gonna make?
Right.
If I'm in charge. So I decided to do it because my family was doing it already. My friends, they used to always say, Twan, look how much money we making. And I'm looking at them like, I don't care. I had credit cards. I did have credit. I decided to get into the game. One of my buddies, he was like, don't tell nobody, not in terms of hotness, because he's giving it to me on consignment and everybody else got to pay for it.
Gotcha, up front.
Up front.
Yep.
So he gave it to me, and it's a crazy story. Where I lived at 16th W, it's a red light district. It's very rough, and the police stay around there. What was I thinking about? I'm coming home, and it's a roadblock. And I'm like, I can't believe the first day I get some drugs.
And how much are you sitting on right now, approximately?
2 kilos.
2 kilos.
Yeah, so I'm like,
first day on the job.
I'm gonna get locked up.
Yeah.
But when I'm coming, and it's fish scale. That's very strong smell. Like you said, smell. They're gonna get me just because of the smell.
Gotcha.
So I'm coming. Thankful, one of the guys who was in charge, I trained him, I coach and train football. And he was like, Twan, what you doing around here? I'm like, I live up the street. He said, come on, man, and told them, let them through.
Right.
And I just couldn't believe that happened.
You were this close.
That close. If he wasn't there, I probably would have went to jail. And that was
because it was a drug checkpoint in a sense.
It was a checkpoint.
Yeah.
That neighborhood is known for having drugs, so they had it. But I don't know why I went that way, but and I couldn't back up.
Well, they'd be more suspicious.
Yeah, so he told me to go on. So I called my nephews, I called my friends, I called my brother, and I'm like, man, please tell me what to do with this, because I didn't know. I never sold drugs before. I mean, I see Scarface and all that type of stuff, but that don't tell you how to sell drugs. That's TV.
Right.
So my nephew and them, like I told you, they taught me what to do with the drugs, how to cook the drugs. But I didn't like being on a strip because it seemed like something that the police or the feds could be out there and they just filming you because they just out there like ain't no police around.
Right. And you are, in Washington, D.C. is one of the most surveilled cities in America. Now, we're talking about the 80s and, it's not as, but it's a lot of cops around. There's cops everywhere in D.C.
It's undercovers everywhere.
Undercovers.
And I'm talking about on the strip.
Now, when you say the strip, is that the main drag?
The drug strip.
The drug strip, okay.
The strip is, in D.C. you might say strip. People say drug strip, red light district, the police said or whatever. But the strip is where, the reason why they saying the strip, because everybody out there. You got the New Yorkers on one side. You got you have the Jamaican posse on one side. Then you got the DC boys on one side. If Miami around, everybody out there.
Right.
And they playing their music. The Jamaicans playing their music. It's like like, let's have fun.
Right.
And make money. I'm gonna tell you, I'm really in nature, I'm quiet.
Right.
I talk if I get comfortable with you, or if you family or friend, yeah, I'm gonna talk to them. But I'm more of a thinker, and I observe people. And when I observed that, my nephew then broke down the kilo and cut it down in 50s, because they said this is what the Jamaicans do. So I observed them. But what I observed, I was like, nah, I can't do this. First of all, I didn't want to do it. Now I'm doing it. Now you're saying I got to get on the strip and be, cool and listen to everybody. So that's how it is.
Right.
On that level. I didn't want to be on that level. So I explained to them, nah, I can't do that. And I know what a kilo, how to break it down in terms of weight. So I say, look, I give y'all weight and y'all do what you want. Just pay me back. If I give you an eighth, you give me 3,000 or 3,500, you gonna make yourself almost 1,000. You can't beat that. The Jamaicans and New Yorkers never did that for them, because they know they didn't know. They young, high school kids, so they really didn't know that they really getting over on them. They give them a pack that they can make $1,000 from. They keep two, get the Jamaicans 800, or get the Jamaicans 750, and they could. I said that don't make sense. Get the weight from me and just pay me the money. So I'm getting it on consignment. I'm giving it to you on consignment.
Right. So
I trust you, because they family and friends, to pay me back. They getting the money back in a day or so. And I'm like, it was kind of scary.
Because it was moving so fast, right?
It's just moving so fast.
The money's coming in so fast.
So I'm like, look, I made it mandatory. Most kingpins ain't gonna do it, but it was mandatory. If you with me, you got to think business. You have to. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Oh, we want a car lot. We save your money. We get you a car lot. What do you want to do? I want to sell whatever, right? Clothes. We get you a building. So that's what time I was on, and I think that's why so many people wanted to go with me, because they needed somebody who was thorough enough to say, nah, this is how we gonna do it. So we switched up the game. The Jamaican Scene that the game was switched up, that everybody stepped their game up. They asked my nephew to introduce them. These they females, because at that time the guys was beefing in DC, so they kind of chased all the guys away.
Okay.
So the females, they thorough too. They still there. Their time was coming, but the beef was with the men. And the beef was with New Yorkers. The beef was with Miami boys. They wasn't really with the females. So the females was just there, only females.
Right. Nobody's really paying attention to the females. They're the ones moving the dope.
Yeah. So now they moving it, but they're not acting like how the guys were.
Correct.
That macho stuff.
Right. Bringing attention to themselves.
Yeah. Really want to be like they Scarface. You know, Scarface was the idol.
Right.
For everybody.
Yeah.
So the Jamaican girls said, the females like. My nephew said, my uncle don't play. He's very serious, because they got a talk about him that it kind of turned me on. Off. I meant to say off. So I talked to them. They showed me what they're about, and to show me that they were serious, they showed me $1 million. And I'm looking at them like, are y'all crazy? Y'all show me. New Yorkers got their style.
Right.
DC got their style. Jamaicans got their style. Everybody got their style. So you can know, oh, that's LA. The way they walk. DC, the way they move their hands, and the way they talk. The Jamaicans, they proud. Everybody back is proud.
Sure.
So they're not gonna change their style. They're gonna talk their patois or whatever you call it. And when they talk, I'm a type of person, because I did go to church, and I don't like people cussing around me. They cuss too much, and they be saying some crazy stuff. The females too. And I'm like, man, my nephew told me that they want to meet me. I'm like, nah, I'm not trying to meet them. But it was, I don't know their personality. I don't know their character. I just know how they do out in front. But when you get behind a closed door, now they talking English.
Now, the viewers of this are going to appreciate the irony here. We're talking about kilos of cocaine, right? And then the cursing is really what it's actually interesting because you're wired a certain way. Right. You have this, and just knowing you is like, there's certain things like you're just a business guy. And it's like, is it safe to say that the way that their attitude is and just the cursing just played a role that they're just not serious?
Right. They too flamboyant.
Right. Flamboyant. Yeah.
They're
bringing attention to themselves.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, if you selling drugs, why is you have, I had a buddy, you getting all this money, your parent living in the project, and you got your $80,000-$90,000 car parked in the project.
It's comp, yeah.
And you calling me over and telling son, let's go for a ride because he wants to show off his car. I said, man, you crazy.
Right.
It's bad enough. He was a good looking dude to watch the whole 9 yards, females and everybody looking at you. Now you got a $80,000-$90,000 car parked at the project.
Right.
I couldn't understand it.
Right. Bring attention to yourself.
Right. So with the two that my nephew had chose, they was very professional too, but they didn't have the skill that I had. So we made a deal. They teach me the game, which I didn't know nothing about the game. And actually the DC guys back then, we were just getting into the game on that level. And we didn't know how to cut the cocaine to get an extra half a key or a key. We just sell it, and the key that we sell is to the jail, meaning that we might lose off a key. We might come back 950. While they telling us that's crazy. We could get an extra half a key. That's extra money, and if it's good, they could get 2 keys. So they taught me a whole different game. So now what they taught me, it went up because now I'm teaching my people. This is what the Jamaicans, because they ain't telling them, but they telling me all the little secrets that they knew how to make money. Mm-hmm. So we became real close, but they was greedy. They would have all these keys and take it to the strip and cut them up and make money. And I was saying, why would you do that when you could sell weight? That's not. So
explain that to me though, because when you say how is that being greedy, or you're cutting up versus the weight? If you're getting it for just say they're getting it for 10 or 15,000.
Okay,
easy math, $10,000 for a kilo of cocaine.
Right.
Okay.
At that time, you could probably sell it for if you selling it for 20 at that time in DC, they think they really got to connect, right? Okay. So they selling it for 24. So if you get somebody to sell it for 20, like I might sell it for 20, right?
But you're getting it for 10.
You're getting it for 10.
For easy math, you get it for 10, you sell it for 20.
That's 10,000.
Okay, good.
You double your money. Anytime you double your money, to me, is good. With them, you crazy. They want to triple the money.
And they're doing it by, what do you mean by?
Breaking it down. Instead of them selling weight, eighth a key, half a key, kilos.
Right, they're bringing it down to just like street level stuff.
50s.
Right.
And they not only breaking it down to 50s, they just made an extra key or an extra half.
Right, because they're adding ingredients to make it more, the volume is
so
more.
they making way more money.
I see. So they're breaking it down all the way down to the street level, plus they're adding and making it, turning a kilo into a kilo and a half,
right,
and so forth.
Right.
And that's where the greed comes in.
That's, to me, that's my opinion.
Yeah.
Somebody else might think I'm crazy.
Right. Now you're not getting your money's worth, yeah.
Yeah, but mine's is going quick, and the feds ain't on me.
Right.
They out there.
Right.
The undercovers out there. The informers out there, everybody know what's going on. But a lot of times during that time, they want to set up shop. They might be here, then they setting up shop somewhere. They go, New Yorkers, Jamaicans, Miami, they go anywhere. They might say, we're going to Virginia. We're going to North Carolina. That's how they do. They just roams and set up shops. I wasn't like that type of person, and I didn't want to do that. We might, Maryland, D.C., the DMV is the same.
Right.
So it's not setting up shop like if you go to Maryland or Virginia.
Like you said, the DMV, by the way, I just caught that. D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
Yes.
That's the first time I heard that, but cool. The DMV, I feel cool.
Yes.
So the DMV, it's all one area.
Right.
Yep.
So, I had buddies, my co-defendant, he's from Maryland. He could do better in Maryland because of D.C., they got this arrogant about them. Like they all this and this, which is, true. I have that too, but not like, I could sit down and talk to somebody in a city, or I could talk to a millionaire. Mm-hmm. I know how to switch up. And, in prison, people like Antoine, people that jump back, like, you from D.C.? Like, I'm like, yeah, well, what's the problem? You don't act like you from D.C. You ain't see me around my homies. I'm going to act like, because I'm around them, but I'm talking to you, and I don't want to be saying every little slim and shorty and all that. Right. Because some people get offended because they don't know what we're saying. They might think saying slim, because some people call slim a female. Mm. You could be 300 pounds and somebody from D.C. call you slim. You could be 6'1", and somebody might say shorty.
Right.
That's just how we say Obama, everybody's Obama. But you might be offended if you don't know what we're saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, but back to my backstory, I got in the game. It was the worst mistake I ever did, but I was making a lot of money.
And how much are we talking about?
When back then, because once they taught me how to, I would never do a key, because I thought that was really being greedy, to make it an extra. So they make it a half a key. That half a key is an extra for me. That's we saying $10,000. $7,000. Depends because the saying was, my friends and family like, Twan, you to connect, you can't, don't step on their toes. So I always make sure they made money. Right. That's why a lot of people respect, because like Twan makes sure everybody eat.
Right. Everybody's winning. So at the height of this, remember, this is, what we're talking about, so our audience knows, is that this is your first foray into drug sales before we even have the U.S. versus Jones.
Oh, yeah,
We're going to get big time on that one. I mean,
right.
We're going to talk millions here. But at your heyday, how much money were you bringing in nets, like after all your expenses on a month? Like, I mean.
And like I said earlier, for me, if somebody give you consignment, you got to get their money first. So you could be counting a lot more money because you got to pay whoever gave it to you.
You owe money.
But in your profit back then, I could make, say in a week or so, a couple $100,000, back then. Right. Because I wasn't getting as much as in this case right here. I graduated when people say when you go to the penitentiary back, when I went to the penitentiary, no boy connects there. You got a lot of million people, you got millionaires, you got white collar crimes, you got so much knowledge there. It's a university for real.
But you're saying you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Net, that's in your pocket.
Yes.
That is a lot of money for anybody, right? I mean, there are successful doctors, brain surgeons out there that are famous that are not making that kind of money. You get this kind of money, what are you doing with it?
Well, I bought my first year, I said I want to buy a house. Mm-hmm. I the cars and the clothes, that wasn't, I'm like, I want to get a house, get a business. So I had a plan, got a business. When I tried to get the house, I wasn't hip to over $10,000. These people got to report it. I wasn't hip to that.
Right, you didn't know.
I learned because I was putting so much money. I'm vending stands. I had a janitorial business at that time. So I wanted to get a house. This is the first year. I wanted to lead by example, show them how to do this. Right. So when I went to get the house, the lady was like, I don't know. I don't think my wife was there, but she was telling me that I was making too much money. Right. And it was too much money going to the bank. Yeah. And I was like, she showed me, I was like, oh my God, I didn't even realize what was happening.
Yeah, every $10,000 withdrawal or deposit is getting alerted to the Fed.
Right. And she's saying, so But I was smart enough. I played the black card. I'm like, hold up. So you saying because I'm a young black man and I got businesses, I went there.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't a pro se litigator, but I was smart enough to know I'm going to sue you because I got legit businesses.
Right.
You can't tell me where this money come from.
Right.
Well, can you know this money came from my business? I got business stands.
Right.
So I went there on her and she said, you know what? We're going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And because my credit was good.
Right.
My wife's credit was good. She had a company.
Right.
So they gave us a house, my first house.
Did you pay it in cash or no?
I ain't.
You had to have a loan.
Yeah, they've been stopped there paying in cash. You going to jail.
A little too much. Yeah.
But you really, when you get that type of money, if you don't have nowhere to launder it, it's just a headache.
Right.
You just giving it away to people. Because if you got $1 million, $2 million, this is why my opinion on people like Big Meats and them, they blow money because they got so much money.
Right. They're not they're not thinking the long term. They're thinking like here and now.
Right. So they enjoying their life.
It's like sports players sometimes. They get so much money instantly that they just don't. And then, 20 years from now, they have nothing to show for it. Right.
My mindset was different, but I learned something. I learned you can't Western Union somebody all this type of money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's right now, they get you all kinds of ways. And a lot of the time we don't know.
Right.
I didn't know that they every time I went to Western Union, it shows.
Right. You're leaving a paper trail for your own indictment.
Right. So we basically, when they say throwing bricks at the penitentiary, we was throwing bricks and we didn't even know it. So finally, my cousin, what was it? Puerto Rico said, "Don't tell Mr. Jones, don't come back to Puerto Rico."
So what does that mean, by the way? Puerto Rico said this?
Yeah.
What does that
they
mean?
investigate me.
Okay.
They was investigate me and they caught somebody and somebody used my name. No, it wasn't. He had a ticket with my name.
Gotcha.
So Puerto Rico knew everything. Like I say,
you talking about
the state of Puerto,
the territory of Puerto Rico. Over in Puerto Rico, you got on their radar.
Yeah, they got on the radar, and they said, tell the people when Mr. Jones ever come back, step foot in Puerto Rico, we're going to lock him up.
Right.
So they really was, sometimes the Fed's cocky too.
Yeah, they say things, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's let them know we going to get you.
Right.
So I never went back to Puerto Rico.
Right.
Same way with California. I was going up there so much that they knew when I came up there, he had to have money. But I was, I outsmarted them. They did grab my luggage, but it wasn't no money.
Right, they're looking for the money. Is that so? When you went to Puerto Rico, were you actually just bringing them money to the?
I was taking money over there and bringing drugs back.
Bringing drugs back. Yeah. So how would you bring drugs back from? Like, it's just in your luggage. You're checking luggage.
Well, back there it was easy. Now
pre-TSA,
it's impossible. Back there you could bring drugs on you.
Right.
Before they put the little things in the money. You could take $1 million and straight through. It's nothing,
right?
Because they didn't have the little strips in there.
RFID maybe, which I'm not familiar with, but so there's a way to detect money right now.
Yeah,
right?
now you go, you gonna get locked up.
Right.
You can't take no money.
So are you telling me that you went through an airport through a magnetometer, right? Those, right, and you actually were strapped with drugs?
Not me. I'm the
not you.
The child, but right.
the money.
Yeah, back then that's how we was getting back.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's either you gonna ship it back, or you gonna you gonna bring it back. So if you only getting like 10 keys, you get somebody, you can bring it back.
Right.
But you can't. The money, everything was much easier back then.
Sure.
They got smarter. Somebody, once they tell them how they doing it, they're going to get smart. So L.A., I stopped going to L.A. My cousin and my co-defendant that I showed you earlier, they was going. I said, man, I can't go to L.A. They know because they stopped me. And I was going to beat it anyway because they were like, can we check your bag? I say, oh, no, you can't check my bag.
Right.
Why you need to check my bag? But I knew they were the Fed.
Right.
They got the shades on. Come on. 2 white guys. And I'm looking, and the girl who bring the money, I told her, keep going. She passed, she mixed, so she could pass for a white person. Blonde hair, steward outfit on, right? So I say, that's the feds. I'm gonna grab your stuff. you grab, the money keep going.
Yeah.
So I go first because I knew, I said, this is the feds.
Yeah.
So when I come, because they were talking to some old couple, like they wasn't. So it was funny. So they came over to me. So I had to get an act so she could come through. So they were like, can we check your bag? I said, no, I got constitutional right. You can't check my bag. Why would you want to check my bag? And everybody's stopping. So I like, this is what I need, because everybody,
You're making almost make it scene a little bit, right?
Yeah. So and it was just funny because I was the only black person and everybody else around was white. So I said, you know what? Yeah, you could check my bag if you check him. Check that white person right there. So I'm throwing it all, and they trying to keep me down.
Yeah.
They said, well, look, you want to report us? Come on. I said, I'm not going nowhere with y'all. So they went on to check my bag, but she gone.
Right.
She went on.
They checked without your consent. You mean?
Yeah. If I did, I could have had 100 kilos. It was over with.
Yeah.
Because the people, I kept saying no. So they just opened it anyway. Because they know I had no drugs. You ain't bring no drugs to L.A.
Yeah.
They know it's had to be money.
Right.
Because they asked me that I had a large sum of money. I said, why would you ask me that? So they looked and see female outfit. She was gone. Once she was gone, I'm like, I'm not going down to the police station. I don't even think I think the feds, because feds, I think, had badges. I don't even think they have ID or something.
Yeah.
Right? And he showed his ID, he so bad. I said, I'm not going nowhere with you. So I get in and they follow me. So I just tell her, just go. You know what I'm saying? Just go wherever you want to go. I tell her, the cab driver. So they just stopped following me because they knew he don't have nothing. But they did say, look for a female, black female.
Right.
That's the first thing they said, look for a black female. She's fair skinned, right?
Yeah.
So.
And you said she was wearing like an airline outfit?
Yeah, like she was working for.
So you had this all pre-planned, like, yeah.
Okay.
I
mean, because she was blonde hair, it was easier for her to come through.
Sure.
So she had was gone. She know what to do.
Yeah.
I ain't got, even if they had locked me up, she knew what to do. Know who to call and everything, and handle everything else. So I knew they was on me, so I couldn't go where she was at anyway.
Right.
So I went to the nearest airport, and she did what she had to do. And
you just came back home.
And I just came back home.
Now let's talk about, so you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Right.
Net. You bought the house. You probably you invest other things, all these businesses.
Yeah.
You're not being flamboyant about your money, which is smart because you bring attention to yourself. But at some point, the feds are onto you, right?
Oh, we know the feds was so arrogant. Not the police, the feds.
Right.
They would just come down and just sit. I mean, we know what the feds, we know their cars, like that's the feds out there. So I said, man, they must be following me. Because I'm like, they following somebody. So I told my staff, I said, they must be following, because everybody on my staff, selling drugs. So I said, man, they must be following me. So I told somebody, take my car and go. And they did. So the feds followed them. And when the feds realized it was me, it's a joke to them. Because they'll come down, this is the feds. They'll come down there, tell me they want to go swimming. That's the feds.
Swimming at what? At
the pool, because I work for the aquatic division.
Oh, you still work there?
No, back then.
Oh, back then, okay.
Yeah, this is the first trial. Yeah. So they'll follow me home. Just like, we get ready to get you.
Right.
And I'm like, man, I need this. And I think I do the U-turn and fly. They know where I live and everything.
Right.
So they didn't get me. They got my cousin them coming from L.A. because the Connect has strip clubs and all that. So when he got there, he wants you to do, party. I party, but I don't party with them. Straight business.
Right.
I'm not coming up here to party, and especially doing, they was into orgies and everything. I'm like, man, are you crazy?
Right.
Give me my stuff so I could go. But my cousin is a different person. He partied. So the next day he had a rush. And somehow at the post office or wherever they were sending the drugs through, it was an alert because of the addresses and how he put it down. the feds was waiting for us. So the feds took the drugs, put the little fake kilos in it, but I don't know if it was a tracking device and the drugs, right? It's waiting for the GPS.
Sure.
So I'm out of town. My co-defendant that I showed you earlier, he goes to get to my sister's house because my dumb cousin sent it to my sister's house. And then my cousin sent it to one of his friend's house. They waiting because it's a tracking thing.
Right.
But it don't alert them to come till you open the box.
Sure.
He opened the box, my cousin, so they was there to get him. My co-defendant didn't open the box. He followed instruction. So they didn't know. They just know that I guess it was beeper back then.
Yeah.
Once he got out of range, they panicked.
Right.
Because they couldn't track it no more.
Right.
Because he was gone. But they ended up catching him, threatening him, like they're going to kill him to go get because when he realized, he tore it up and he should have destroyed, but he just threw it in the trash dumpster. Well, so we made a lot of mistakes. And that's part of, well, you
learned the game. And how many years were you, before you ultimately got arrested in that first case, how many years were you dealing narcotics?
I was probably just a few years.
Right.
Just a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a few years. And then that's when I got locked up.
Right.
And then it was like, you going to put me, when I got up there, it's an old timer and he got his own cell. And sometimes you have to, double up.
Yeah.
And the Mexicans, well, actually he was a native from Mexico.
Okay.
So, but the natives wouldn't let anybody go in that cell with him. You out in the common area, the way I curved myself, because he don't go out. Only time he go out to the TP tent and whatever they do down there, and he come back in. He's rich. Everything comes to him. He don't go to the kitchen or none of that. So they went and asked, administration asked, can I come into his cell?
That's how much clout he has. The warden essentially is almost asking his permission to have a cellie.
Right, because they know what level he on and what type. He got security, all type of stuff.
Right.
So he was like, he don't know I'm from D.C. I don't know what he would have said if he knew I was from D.C. So he let me into his cell. He just fell in love. He's an Antoine Jones, but he's like, man, I'm like his grandson, right? So he cooks, he does all that, right? And all the homies, once you learn and know a person from DC, they loyal. If they with you, they loyal all the way. So they'll come, what's up, Pops? So now he's telling his people, I got friends from DC. Right. Because, it's like, you got, he's from DC? And they was kind of like worrying. But he didn't know. Mr. Jones, no, he called me, what did he call me? He couldn't say my name. But whatever he was saying, he was talking about me, right? So he was like, nah, I love my celly. He cool. And, we talk this and that. So all the homies would come through and they, greet him. So he learned and got to know a lot of DC people. Because he probably would never have met none of us.
And where was the prison at? What state?
It was in Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I found out that he was like real big.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but I'm not thinking about selling drugs. But he was like, no, he called me Jonesy. That's what he called me.
Say it again?
Jonesy.
Jonesy.
Yes, he didn't say Jones.
Yeah.
He say Jonesy. So he say, Jonesy, if you ever get out, you need anything, I got you. So I'm like, so when I get out, he said, yeah, I'm gonna hook you up with my people. I know he was big, but I didn't know he was.
And you were in prison, by the way, for 8 years, I believe, right?
Yeah.
8.5 years or so.
Yeah.
And what was your original sentence?
10.
Okay. So you got it with good behavior?
Well, it's 8.5 off 10.
Okay.
That's what you get.
Okay.
You get good time.
Okay. So you got out after 8, which is that's a lot of years.
I mean, it's a lot of years, but it goes so quick.
It does, okay.
It'd be like, oh man, it's time to go. But for some people, it might be longer.
Sure, but for you, it was relatively straightforward.
That's it.
Just so 8 years, okay.
So I go out, I meet his people. I didn't know they was what they asking, what you need, what you want. They get the little Mexican talk. And I'm like, I mean, what can I get? Like, you know, he said, you get whatever you want. So I'm like, what about 500? He like, that's all you want?
500 kilos.
Yeah. So he like, that's all you want? I'm like, okay, let's see how that go.
Right.
And I didn't know it was going to be so smooth. And the operation, everything is smooth. You know, we gonna want you to, you have to get a trucking company. You're gonna have to get this. You have to get this. It's a business,
right?
You know, it's not like a crew. These are the real deal.
Yeah,
and they want everything to be, you know,
organized and everything laid out. But they're gonna give you 500 kilos on consignment,
right?
And they do this all because your celly happened to be a very high level cartel guy.
He endorsed me,
right?
Yes,
that's massive. I mean, approximately how much money is that worth? The street value of 500 kilos of cocaine. I mean, probably do the math.
I don't know what the feds, when they say stuff, it's different from what we know personally, right? They might say 10 mil, 20 mil,
exactly.
But we know times you get to paying this and that and all that, right? You making, I probably was making like 20,000 off East Key,
right?
You know, but like I say, I got to get their money first,
right?
Which is going to be millions.
Yep.
I got to get their money. My money, whatever. You got to pay their money.
So this is fascinating because you got like literally 500 kilos of cocaine, right? That was your first order. Did you actually? I mean, you're sitting in prison for 8.5 years. Do you even think you have the capacity to move that much? Because that's way more than you moved before you went to prison, right?
In Washington D.C., when I'm back in the DMV, that's just, I'm one person. Somebody else might got 100. Somebody else might got 200. Somebody else might got 500.
But a new guy. I mean, not a new guy, but if somebody shows up on the block after 8 years with 500 kilos of cocaine, you're moving a lot of people out of that. I mean, you're saturating the market with a lot of cocaine, right? I mean, don't you have people coming after you? But like, you're now You mess with our business?
Nah, not for me anyway.
Okay.
For me, most of the stick-up boys would say, because like I say, the key was make sure everybody eat.
Right.
So the stick-up boys saying hands off. So if you try to come after me and they eat, because stick-up boys sell drugs too.
Right.
They're coming after you.
Right. You're messing with their...
Right, because then you got somebody that's supplying everybody.
Right.
And with cheap prices. Well, you got something. That's what I'm saying. When you're greedy, you make enemies.
So, are you telling me that there's actually a code of ethics in the drug game? There is, isn't there? I mean, there's almost like a code of ethics.
It's a code of ethics. Some of it is crazy.
Yeah.
You got street codes of ethics.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like I said, I worked a lot of people when I was young. A lot of these people that's in the drug game, I've known before they was in the drug game.
Right. DC is a small place relatively.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me, everybody know the reputation. Twan gonna make sure you eat. He gonna stay on top of you. It's I'm a whole different person.
Yeah.
So in the neighborhoods that I was in, working in, they're like, nah, they more protect me. It been times with a sticker boy, like, who was that? Who driving that Beamer? And they come in like, Twan, man, so and so asked about you. I'm a man too, so I'm gonna come straight to you. When the person come, like say, "Oh no, I heard. I'm sorry." People said that you know. So my with me, and still now to the day, people respect me.
Right.
And the drug dealers respect me. The stick-up boys respect me. You know, not saying they could. I mean, some of the stick-up boys that know where to go get the money at. They never rob me. They'll go rob somebody else and bring me and say, Twan, hold this 200,000. Don't give it to us. And we're going to go blow this money. And this money, when we come back, we want to re-up with you. When they say, I said, when you come back, I'm not giving you this money back. These guys are the type of guys, if they come back and want their money, you're supposed to give it back.
Right, but you're saying you're not going to give the money back.
No, because they told me.
Right, they told you that they stole it from somebody.
Yeah, they just stole it from somebody. And they might just say they stole a couple 100,000. They're going to go and have fun. They might come to Vegas.
Yep.
And spend all the money down here because they ain't going to win nothing.
Right.
So it's basically with that they know that Twan keep us in line.
Right.
Twan gonna make sure of this. I taught them. I was teaching them credit. They still talk about their Twan. They got houses and they like Twan. I remember using teachers and about credit and talking about get a house and get this. some of them pass for whatever reason. Most of them, the ones that is not in jail no more. Everybody older, they change.
Right.
I lead by example.
Right.
Twan changed it. If Twan want to go sell some kilos today, they probably go do it.
Right.
If Twan want to go jump off whatever, they probably go do
You're
it.
gonna jump it too, yeah.
I'm doing this. Everybody want to support what I'm doing.
So how long did it take you to get rid of those 500 kilos?
A month.
A month.
They give us 30 days.
So 20,000 times 500 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then then now what? Now you got all this money.
So now I got all this money. This is where the headache come in.
Yep.
People look at TV and think, Scarface, all this. I'm not saying it's not real for, people, but the more money you got, is more headaches you got. You do have to worry about the stick-up boys.
Right.
You do have to worry about the feds.
Right.
You do have to worry about IRS. And they bigger than everybody. And, the IRS, to me, I knew better. I'm not bigger than Al Capone. I pay my taxes. That's what I did. Mm-hmm. And that's kept me out.
Because you had the businesses. You had a way to pay the taxes.
Right. So, matter of fact, I might pay more taxes.
Right. Keep them off. Because it's interesting that a lot of people in your position are actually worried about the IRS because that's probably the easiest way to prove a case against you.
Right.
Not paying taxes.
Right. And that's what most of them don't pay taxes. I mean, you can't pay taxes on drugs.
Well, actually, you can. Just so you know, there is a law that says you are supposed to still pay taxes on ill-gotten gains.
Oh, I didn't know that.
and it's true.
For real?
You are. It's for real, yeah. So there is, now, of course, if you pay it, you also might bring some other red flags to you. Like now the FBI wants to know where the
coming from.
But the law is that if you do pay taxes on your ill-gotten gains, then the IRS cannot come after you.
What?
In other words, they just want their money too.
Okay.
Right?
And I agree with it. I'm like, look, the gangsters, I stay up here.
They are, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to pay your taxes. But we don't know. If you make millions, how do you pay taxes off? How do you tell IRS, I just made $2 million and pay them? How can you tell them that?
Well, they'll leave you alone, but not the feds, not the FBI. So you moved within a month. You have all this money. What happened to the house that you bought before? That house is, right, your wife is still in that house?
No. The house, what happened, I left my, when we moved and bought the other house.
Yeah, when you bought that first.
The first house was, I bought that in the 80s.
Right.
My first house. When I first started.
Yeah.
When I came home, I got a bigger house.
Yep.
And it was nobody living there. So still, I didn't want to sell it. So I let my sister-in-law move in.
Right.
They moved it to that house.
But the feds didn't take your property.
No, they didn't. All that was legit. I mean, even though they couldn't take it. They couldn't. I paid taxes.
You paid taxes. You had the vending machine businesses. You had.
Yeah.
Okay. So you got the 500 kilos. The trucking company. You also had to make some kind of. What does that mean?
The trucking company is big enough for the tractor trailers to come to.
For the dope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you actually had a real trucking company.
Yes.
Did it actually do legitimate business too?
Yeah.
Right. So you made some money from that too.
Right.
It was in the black? It was actually making money?
I mean, that wasn't the purpose.
No, I know, but
the purpose was did make money, right? But it was the purpose for them is to be comfortable. So when they come, they had a tractor trailer in there.
Right. So you had the tractor trailer business, and then you start moving. What? How many? Like this 500 kilos was. What was
that was all the way. The 500 kilos was till I got locked up.
Right. Per 500 kilos per month.
It's probably a month or whatever they come.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they come different ways. They might start from Atlanta and come on down to New York. New York might be the last stop. DC, Baltimore, Virginia. They're business.
Right. So the tractor trailer starts off with 1,000 or thousands of kilos, whatever it is.
I mean, no, they probably, because 500 for me is small to them. Mm-hmm. So if they start south and it's coming down up to New York, I don't know. I never really asked them how much they have in there, but I really believe that that's a small amount,
right?
Compared to if you get up New York, it's going to get way more than 500. Right. It's New York City,
right?
That's a spot that you drop off. DC is not a spot that they normally drop off unless they got somebody like me in there. Baltimore. They stop at Baltimore, same way. And you know, they move the cartels move in these different locations.
Right.
You know, so
now let's talk about. So you're back in the game, and then you let's talk about levels.
okay,
So you bought a nightclub,
right.
right? So tell us about that.
Well, when I came home, a buddy of mine came to me that I used to coach. He was like, Twan, man, you know, so and so got a club. And I'm like, you know, I got this money. I need a club. So he said, yeah. So I go to the club. I'm like, he ain't even fixed it up. He just got to build it. So I told him, cool, I pay for everything. But it was another club next to us. And I talked to him and said, look, man, can I buy you out? I bought him out. So now we got two clubs, knocked the walls, band in one. So the deal was that he be the front person, because that's the type of person he love it. Come with the pink suit and all that, right?
The pink suit.
Yes, you know, that on Grand, that's what he wants to be. So I said, I'm not gonna come, this and that and all that, but come find out, the bartender said he was stealing money.
Right.
So I'm like, you stealing money from me? And I'm doing everything, I'm putting up everything that's in my name. So I kicked him out. So I had to come, it was my worst nightmare, to start working at the club and making sure the club was running right.
Because you don't want to be there.
I didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Because now everybody starting to know, because sometimes people use like letters like T or T money.
Right.
But people don't know who that person is. But when I started being at the club, everybody knew it's him.
Right. That's where the money's coming from. Or
It's
going
him.
to. Right.
Because they seeing everybody coming there, and all these other big people who got their own clubs or whatever, everybody patronize. And they throwing parties like the Hustler Ball, you know, like how everybody coming dressed up. And it just made me hot. When I'm saying hot, now I'm on the radar.
Right.
Now everybody's like, this is the guy. But you know, first people thought I was a janitor, because I'm walking around just plain clothes on. You never see me. I wear a watch today, but I don't really wear jewelry like that. And I'm never gonna pay a couple $100,000 for a watch.
Right.
Even if I had the money. And this is how you know their signature saying, I got money.
Right.
For whatever reason. I might have a sweatpants on or some jeans on, see me sweeping. I was on very, humble like.
Yeah.
And people didn't realize, but they still picked it up that that's his club. Because it was everybody's club but my club. And I was cool with it. Because I didn't want people to know this was my club. Then I ended up getting a second club. It didn't help. It didn't help at all.
Right. You even brought more attention to yourself.
Right.
So now, were there drugs being sold out of the club under your watch?
No. The feds tripping. I would never do that. First of all, I was scared of DC feds. We know better. I know better. Most of the stuff, most of the people that was under me, they all lived out in Maryland. They from DC, but they got money. Nobody gonna buy a house in DC if you doing the stuff that we was doing.
Right.
They gonna buy something nice out in Maryland. We scared of Virginia. They might go with Virginia.
Why are you scared of Virginia? Because they're pretty aggressive there?
Oh, because of the feds. The police. That's not DC police. They're gonna be black. We could probably get around. Some of that.
Yep.
The feds a whole different level. That's a whole different ball game. Out there, their police we don't want to mess with.
In Virginia.
Yeah.
But why Maryland then? Why?
Because Maryland's different. You might have a lot of black police out in Maryland. Out Virginia, they'll pull you over if you have a DC. They pull you over.
Profiling.
They profile. And people just didn't. It probably could be a place, but it's something that you just don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, especially me. I ain't messing with Virginia. And that was something like, oh no, we ain't messing with Virginia. We go out Maryland. We can fit in out Maryland.
Gotcha.
We can fit in out because Maryland, there's so many black people out there. Virginia, they got, little hoods or something for blacks, but it's going to be mostly whites. And we can easily stand out. And they'll stop you. I'm at the 7-Eleven one time, They stopped me. I'm like, what did I do? I ain't do nothing.
Right.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
let me get back. So what DC, most of them not going to buy a house in DC because you don't want nobody to know where you live at.
Right.
So you're going to go somewhere. So while you're driving, you at least pay attention if somebody following you.
Right.
It's kind of hard to do that in DC.
Right.
Because of the neighborhood and how everything.
Yep. So you got the clubs.
Okay.
And is the club or the clubs that when you combine them, is that what kind of puts you on the radar for the feds to start looking into you, or were you on their radar before?
One of the guys, he's one of those flamboyant type. He went to the grand jury on us. And, told me, yeah, I'm getting 50 kilos. He lied and said he was getting out the club. We never did that in that club. Because the police station right there. Right, the police station is literally right across the street.
Okay.
And we pay the police to protect us.
Right, they're like overtime assignments.
Yes, well, they working. It's probably they don't supposed to do it,
but it's under the table.
They could whenever the club they supposed to be at these clubs. Mm-hmm. When the clubs come out because they know a lot of guys have guns and stuff like that, right. So they supposed to be there to make sure everything's safe. Now, if you the sergeant and I'm looking out for you, you're gonna look out for your crew. Which club you gonna go to?
Right.
You're gonna come to my club. That club ain't paying you nothing. You gonna come there. And it don't take them but 10 minutes. Everybody gone. Because they come out, they got the lights on. And everybody like, oh, the feds out here. They run into the cars. Everybody gone. Because 9 times out of 10, everybody probably got a gun in their car.
So, okay, maybe make sure I understand the story. So you actually won the cops there in a sense because you didn't want the guns and so forth? Is that what I'm talking about?
To protect my people. Right. Because if something happened, they're going to sue me.
Right. So you actually won the cops there.
Yeah. I want the cops to be there so... Because I know that's what they're supposed to do.
Correct. They're looking for guns.
But they could be at any other club too, because there's a lot of clubs. So they're not looking. They're not looking to lock nobody up.
Right. They
just looking to get everybody out so it could be safe and no shooting or nothing.
Right.
Because that's really bad. A shooting right across from the police station.
Right.
So only people that we had issues with, but we had to let them know. No, because people come out the club and they see the police out there with all the lights on. Mm-hmm. They run.
Yeah.
To get out of there. And everybody don't have guns. They just getting out there because the feds out here.
Yeah.
I'm happy. The sergeant happy. No incident. But you might have a couple. I don't know if they rookies, white guys. They don't know. They just see somebody running, so they go look.
They start chasing them.
They start chasing them.
But so you actually gave some cash to the police?
The only person is I look out. I look out for the sergeant.
And he's actually getting cash from you.
Yeah, cash. Yeah,
under the table. Under the table.
I mean, I'm looking out for him.
No, look, cops are going to watch this. They want to hear. This is culture here.
I'm saying it's some of them. I don't know. I know Maryland and stuff. They can legally park their cars, be out there, all that. The DC police can't be out there because they got to go do their job.
Yeah.
But if they know we close at 3. They could come out there 10 minutes to 3.
Yeah.
Because that's part of their job.
Right.
So what I'm doing is like, man, you my man, thank you.
Yeah.
I look out.
Doing an Italian handshake.
Right. I get you 500,000. You look out for your people.
Yeah.
I think you would do that.
Yeah. There are definitely places that would call that a bribe.
Oh, that's what that is?
Yeah. Mr. Jones, that's what we call it. You're giving money to a cop when they're probably not supposed to accept money, right? Okay. But look, the culture, that's why we're talking about this, right? Let's just talk about culture.
Right.
There are a lot of cops out there that, I don't know if they get paid out there, but it doesn't make it right, wrong, or indifferent. It's just the fact that that's part of your story. You were paying cops to have some extra eyeballs in your club.
Right.
That's fair to say.
That's it. To make sure my people are safe coming out there, because that's the last thing. You have a nice party, and then all of a sudden you hear gunshots.
Right.
And 2 or 3 people.
Right. You're still trying to run a legitimate club.
Right.
Yeah. And, okay, so we have the club. What brought the feds back into your...
The guy, I go back to the story. The guy who was CS1, He went to the grand
just so we know, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, I just want to explain this, just so that our non-law enforcement officers know that's confidential source one. That's what cops, feds, and that's what they'll do. They'll put that into a search warrant or a grand jury. They'll put that so that people know that that's where the source information is coming from, but you're never told who the name is. So CS1 is your confidential informant.
Right. So CS1, he's the one started it. He was actually in a city where you would look at as a big time kingpin.
Okay.
He was saying, I'm getting 50 kilos right at the club, right under y'all nose, and the police station right there. He lied.
Sure.
So he was getting 50 kilos, but
you're not from there.
Not from there. That's the dumbest thing. But he did. So he started the investigation. They investigated me, I'm going to say about a year, looking at the discovery. Mm-hmm. So they knew, which kind of hurt them. They saying, basically, we knew that you were selling drugs for almost a year. And you never locked me up. So to get the wiretap, they couldn't give that information that they had another CSW who was one of the security, that, CS2 or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. So they had people that they could have locked me up a year ago. But they didn't. That's the system. They wanted to, I guess, make it even bigger.
Right, go up the ladder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they couldn't go up the ladder, which would be the next ladder is the cartel. But ICE was, investigating too. Mm-hmm. So once they got the wiretap, when they got the wiretap, they could hear more. We never said drugs. You're going to say slang.
Right. Give me some examples. Like, what would you call drugs?
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? VIP. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I need 5 VIP tickets.
Right. Sure. Talking. It seems like you're talking about the club, but
yeah. So they can't prove such circumstantial evidence that we wasn't talking about.
You watch good for Scarface, but I learned all this from Goodfellas, so I know exactly what you're talking about. You ever watch that movie?
Yeah.
They're talking code too. Yeah.
Right. So everybody they talk code, but nobody gonna say, "Oh yeah, give me 5 kilos."
Right.
Oh yeah, give me this. And they're gonna never go. Not that I know.
Yeah.
They're just gonna say if they say it, they really stupid.
But can I ask you a question? Though? Looking back at it, is it something kind of obvious of what you guys are talking about? Because I've seen some of these transcripts, and I'm like, yeah, you're talking code. No, these people are talking code. But a reasonable person would understand that their conversation is kind of weird.
Right.
Would you agree? Like looking at it, it is hard to have a private.
See, I agree, but on the benefit of the defendant, because you got to go beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
You don't know.
Right.
The jury got to say, he could be talking about tickets because he got a club.
Right.
Because we brought people in there, we buy a ticket.
Right.
This is a little ticket. This is a VIP ticket.
Yep.
There's a doubt.
Right. That's actually that's a very good point. You've introduced doubt, at least to lay people, which is your jury.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Yep. So the tickets didn't. It made us look bad.
Yeah.
Because we were saying, and you might hear somebody say, "Oola goola."
Yeah. Yeah. But once they can prove that ticket means kilo, and that's once they do that, like let's say somebody asks for a VIP ticket, they get stopped at a kilo, then now they take your whole conversation and say, they said ticket 100 times, it's 100 kilos.
The only way in trial, that person that I'm talking to, he can interpret that kind. If he say, if I'm saying 5 VIP ticket, that person can interpret that call. They ain't gonna let nobody else interpret that call, but that person, you have experts come in and we eat them up. Especially me, I just ate them up because, experts don't even know the breakdown of the kilo.
Right.
And they was saying they did with the expert, but when you start the difference between me and my lawyer, I could really ask you some serious questions. If you the expert, you would know. They didn't know.
Well, that's a great segue. Let's start talking about, they got the wiretap.
Uh-huh.
They start listening to your phone calls. You didn't, and then when you told me about how there was a guy under your car, I guess.
Oh yeah, the GPS.
But let's take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, because that's when, once you saw that guy under your car, is that really like probably the point where you knew that the feds were directly on you?
It was knew that I was over.
You knew it was over.
I was throwing it not over in terms of the feds.
Yes.
Because I didn't know they had a CS1 and a CS2. I didn't know all that.
Yeah.
But it was over for me.
Yeah.
That was a sign to say, I know that could be this. I mean, is it we still rolling?
Yeah, roll. Yeah, talk. Yep.
When we see the guy, first, this area mostly going to be black people. This guy was a white guy under my car. and we like, we looking like, what the?
It's in daytime.
This is daytime. I'm like, what is he doing? He under the car. He couldn't get out. Because we would have heard him.
Yeah.
But the feds came and jumped the sidewalk, and like they going to run us over. So we had to get back into the building because the car was coming like they were going to
They were driving on the sidewalk.
Yeah, they came over the sidewalk.
Yeah, to go save their guy.
So they save him. Because they didn't know what we were going to do. Because a lot of people would have just shot him.
Right.
First of all, they would see what he was doing. What was you doing? Were you putting a bomb or something?
Right.
We thinking all kinds, but we knew once that car came, we knew it was the feds.
Right.
Because ain't nobody just going to be doing that to us. Just come and just, so that's was the first time that they supposed to put the GPS.
And that's a perfect time because there's a little suspense there about the feds driving on the sidewalk about to run people over. Let's take our break and we come back. We're going to pick up where we left off.
Sound like a winner. Me and my buddy, one of my co-defendants, we walked out the side door, not the front door. So they probably was expecting if anybody come out the front door and didn't realize that I just came. I said, let's go out the side door. And when we walked out, we both see somebody under my car. And when I'm looking, and I'm looking at him like, man, somebody under the car. Then we look, we see this white guy doing something. And we get ready, just approach him. Then a car come from the side. I mean, speeding. Like they gonna run us over. But I guess they wanted us to get back. So we had to get back, like go back inside. Because he came that far to like hitting us. And we didn't know we didn't know they was, we knew it had to been the feds. Because we just no way possible. So we didn't know what to do. We just took off. So when we called, say, man, is the feds still out there? They said, no, everybody think we crazy. Like, it's nobody out here. I'm like, man, it's the feds, they outside. But they had left. So I believe that was the time when they supposed to put the GPS on and it expired because they ain't put it on in time.
Can I take a moment to explain to the audience the legal issue that just happened there? So it is actually fascinating for people to know about your case that the FBI actually got a tracking warrant.
Right.
And so they had permission by a judge to put a GPS tracker on your wife's, I believe, Grand Cherokee, right?
Yes.
And so there was two issues with that warrant. Number one was that federal warrants last for 10 days. They have to be executed within 10 days. Right. After they're executed, then it goes on for whatever time. Right. They were on day 11. So that white guy under your car, that was day 11 of that warrant. Well, actually, they didn't put the warrant. They did put it.
It might have been before that 10 days.
Correct. And the other issue is that ultimately when they did put the tracker on the car, it was not in D.C., which is where the warrant was. Right. It was in Maryland. Right. So that was the attempt to put the tracker in your car. So did you look under your car to see what they did to your car at that point?
We did everything. It was nothing. We made sure we checked it and all that because, first of all, we don't know if it was a bomb. Yeah. But we kind of figured out it might have been a tracking device, right? Yeah. So, I knew something, it just was fishy, especially when it was no feds out there. Everybody was like, it's no feds out there. It's no police out there.
Like you're seeing things.
Right. Yeah. So when we say feds, I'm talking about the FBI. Yeah. If I'm talking about the police, I would say police. Yeah. So it was none. So we were trying to figure out like what's going on. We know that was the feds. Yeah. And the guy was trying to run us over. We just knew. But I'm like, man, they might be trying to put a GPS on us. The time that they did put it on was when me and my wife went to look at, we was buying houses in Baltimore.
That's investment?
Yes. Okay. So I had left, we had parked the Jeep and I got into her car, or she might be driving my car, but we left the Jeep there. So that's when they put it in out Maryland. Okay. So they violated two, not only passed, they did it out
Day 11 in the wrong jurisdiction. Yeah. They probably could have gotten around the jurisdictional issue, push comes to shove, but not the day issue. Let me ask you this. from how long after, because you had discovery in your case, how long after from the guy under your car to actually when they did put the GPS tracker on the Grand Cherokee, how long was that? Do you know approximately?
How long after?
Yeah, like from that day on them on the sidewalk, and then ultimately they put the GPS tracker on your car, which you did not know about.
Right.
But you learned later when they put that on the car. Like, do you know how long it was?
It could have been like a couple of days.
Right. It was
because it's only 10 days. So
okay.
Are you saying how long after the day that I seen them?
Yes. That they put the tracker on the Grand Cherokee.
I can't exactly how many days.
But days,
yeah,
not months.
No, it was just a couple of days.
And the reason I asked that is because
it could have been the same week.
Right. And the reason I asked that because they were. I didn't know this, but I just thought they, quite frankly, forgot about the warrant. I thought I made jokes when I teach your case. I just say, hey, I think somebody just kind of forgot to put the warrant on the GPS tracker in your car. And on day 11, they're like, oh man, let's get this over with, Right. But actually, based on this story, they did try to meet that 10-day window.
Right.
But I will also say that the law at the time was, for your case, was that they actually didn't need a warrant for the GPS tracker because most courts found that GPS tracking was not a search under the Fourth Amendment. Right. So the feds, in my view, were just kind of playing it safe. And obviously it's going to burn them. It's going to help. It's going to also help clarify what the Constitution is. Right. So, all right, let's move on. So they ultimately put the GPS tracker on your car. But one thing is that even after that incident, you didn't really I guess not check your car every once in a while with a little mirror or.
No. After that day, we checked the car.
You did? On a constant, regular basis or no?
No, probably not. Right. Probably not. But after that, we just wanted to make sure. And like you say, mistake number two, we didn't think that they're going to come back. Right. Because in D.C., it's very hard to do that, unless you're in a big place with a lot of cars. But the places that I go to the club, go to the other club, it's not a lot of places I'm going to be that somebody can't see a white person. It might have been better if it was a black person, but see a white person under this car, people gonna look.
They're gonna start telling you, hey, there's a guy in your car. Yeah,
they're gonna look like, hey, it's somebody under there. But if it was probably a black person, they might think he's a mechanic. Blend in a little bit, maybe. But he didn't even have the car up. He was just under the car. He was actually under there. He didn't put it up or nothing. And if I never came out, it would have been on there.
Right. So after that event, did that change your behavior? Did you do anything differently now that you knew the feds were actually probably looking into you?
During that time, I was actually, my mindset is to leave everything alone and just go legit. I had some partners. We was buying land. We was going to make gated community. We was really... That's what our mindset was is to go legit. Right. So that right there just was another reason to let's hurry up and let's go legit.
Right. And because you had legit businesses, including that club. That club was making money.
Both clubs was making money. Both clubs was making money. Restaurant and everything was making money.
Yeah, you had investment properties.
Right. Yeah. So I was cool with what? I got $1 million stash. Let me just go and do this. Right. But it just didn't work out that way.
That was one of the questions I have for you is that, during this time, what was the most money you had in savings from drug money? Like $1 million, $1.5 million?
Talk about savings?
Yeah, just how much did you have on hand that you could have tapped into that was net, that you didn't owe anybody for? This is your money. After
legit or illegal money?
Illegal money.
Oh, over $1 million. Right. $1.5 million.
Right. And that's the money that the feds got ultimately.
Yeah.
Right. In that stash house, which we're going to get to.
Right.
Okay. So you didn't really change your behavior because you know that you're kind of going legit anyway. You're doing your investments. But how much time do you have left in the drug game? Because, you think you're going to get out in a year, a few months?
No. I started kicking it with some politicians and I started listening to them. And in D.C., the word gentrification, they were starting it by, building up D.C. So I was like, real estate, that was the thing to do back then. So, I was ready to go anyway and just start doing real estate. I want to build a luxury high rise. Right. I want to build condos and stuff. The feds heard that. And I think their mindset is, no, you ain't. Right. You're not going to build nothing. So the day that we was going The guy was gonna buy. The club was owned by somebody else, but I was leasing it. I can, sell my lease. So the guy was ready to get the club and do what he was going to do in it. I think he does a lot of clubs and stuff, right? And gangster guy, we liked each other. I'm like, okay, you gonna give me that type of money?
What kind of gangster? You said, I think you mentioned before, Italian guy?
Yeah, he's Italian.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, from Philly. One of them real Italian guys with the steel, how they talk and everything.
Yeah, with the hands.
All that. The whole nine. The
way he dressed.
The mafia type, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, I'm probably related to in some way.
And he wasn't afraid of the feds.
No.
Because he had, you put his names up, you're like, this dude is the real gangster.
Yeah.
So I guess they was just buying clubs, and I'm like, hey, if you gonna give me, I don't know, a meal or whatever, I'm gonna take that.
Right.
We had the deal that morning. They locked us up that same day.
Locked us up. Yeah,
co-defendants.
Right. So can I ask you something? Just
they didn't lock him up. I'm sorry.
No. I figured that. I initially wasn't sure, but can I ask you, I think you're dealing with some pretty bad dudes, right? You're dealing with the Jamaicans, and these are hardcore, the New Yorkers and the Miami boys. Did any of the Italian guy? Did any of them scare you, or did he all scare you?
The cartels is no joke. They for real. All of them for real.
Yeah.
But the cartels is no joke.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
If you owe them, they're coming at you. It was a situation, one of my partners, some people can't handle money, especially when you're talking about millions of dollars. He owed them $1 million. So I go to his house. So I'm like, Sam, what's going on? Why you ain't paying these people? Because, I'm responsible too.
Right.
So, he got the cars, the jury. Now he's doing a Scarface with the cocaine, snorting and all that. I'm like, what you got all this cocaine out here? So he's actually getting high now.
Right.
So his whole mindset is totally different. He really watched Scarface 20 times. And now his mindset or whatever he getting high of, he on that mentality. So I said, look, pay these people, because these people ain't playing. They'll come out with your whole family. But I know now I'm going to have to side with him, because we all grew up together against the cartels, because I'm not going to let them hurt him. So he didn't pay him, and they wanted to hurt him. So I had a choice that we have to hurt them or pay his $1 million, because he owed them like $1 million. So I said, I pay you. I take my profit and stuff, and I pay them. So they was cool. They respect that. But they were like, they never want to see him again.
No, he's done. They're not going to trust him ever again.
Yeah, but when he finally got himself, because I told him he had to go to a drug program. I don't want to talk to him unless he go to a drug program. Somehow he got himself back. And he still had money because he never paid them. So he ended up going down Mexico. I mean, I'm like, this, you crazy. He went down, because it ain't nothing, go down Mexico, you get your connect. Just like that. So he went down there, he know what to do. He got him a connect. And started doing his own little thing.
He's back in business. Back in business. Is he alive today?
No, he's not alive today.
Because of the drug game?
Yeah. Because he did
he did something similar to what he did to the other guys.
Yeah. So these people, whoever he was, I didn't know him. It wasn't, people that I deal with. It was some other people that he met. And I explained to him when I realized it, because he came to me, and I said, man, these people is no joke. Don't do that.
Right.
You know they don't. This ain't no TV. If you owe them, pay them. But I don't know what happened. But I was actually, when it did happen, I just come in. I was in.
You just came in. You were.
I just got caught up. And they came and told me that they threw him on the highway or something, right? And I was like, for real? And it just hurt me, because we was all tight. We grew up together.
Right. Well, I mean, you guys must have been tight, because you spent $1 million of money that was rightfully yours.
Yeah, we were like family. I was going to let that happen.
Right.
I mean, money to me, I know you need money to do things, but I don't treasure money like that. I'm going to put I'm gonna put my family, I'm gonna put my friends, I'm not gonna let them do that over some money.
Right.
Especially when I have it. Because it ain't nothing to make another million.
We're not in that game. We're not at that level.
Yeah, and on that level, it's you just go make the money.
Wow.
And they respect that. That took me to an even higher level because then they like, man, he's the one.
Right. Did you have anybody not pay you?
All the time.
So what how's that work? I mean, Toughy over here, right? I mean, you have a reputation, but are you going hands-on if somebody's not going to pay you? I mean, I want to hear, like, what's the mentality
normally, when people don't pay nobody, they kill them. Over what? You know, my mentality, you gonna kill somebody over what? $5,000 and you making all this money? But that's their principle is you take money from me, I'm gonna hurt you. Because
there's a reputation thing involved too, right?
Right.
You give an inch, they're gonna take a mile eventually, right? I mean,
right. And actually, the people, if they owe me, they close to me. They, because I ain't giving this to anybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They might be a close friend, or they might be nobody never took nothing from me. But if somebody owe me, right, I cut them off. That's worse than
I see.
Because when I cut you off, everybody cuts you off. Now everybody laughing at you because usually you go down. So if and I'm not gonna I don't see the logic. You're gonna kill somebody and you making all this money.
Right, you're gonna make it back somewhere else anyway. Just get rid of the problem.
Let's get rid of them. I don't see the logic. Oh, let me kill. Let's rob the connect and take all this drugs, and he making you all this money.
Right. And
my logic was different.
And now you go to prison for murder.
They might not never, get caught because the feds probably don't even care, right?
Right.
But the point is, this man just helped you make this type of money, and because they always like, Twan, do you ever think about robbing a connect? I say, for what? That don't even make sense.
Right.
But people do it.
Right. Especially they're doing drugs too. A lot of these guys that think like that, right? Their brain is not thinking straight. They're not thinking long term. They're just thinking a week by week, right?
And they go
and you're for the long game. You're actually trying to go legit.
Right.
So I think people are very interested in that cartel violence. Did you actually see anything with your own eyes that was pretty shocking?
I haven't, because like I say, me, I'm straight, but other people that's close to me that deal with them, yeah, this person might be the one who took the money and disappeared, and they went and killed the cousin.
Right.
And then it was your fault.
Right.
Oh, this person did this, and they come through and kill somebody because they don't. Their mindset is everybody. The family, I can't say kids or nothing like that, but that's how their mindset is. We're gonna make sure you hurt, and we're gonna kill you too. Right. That's their mindset. The ones that I deal with, they was no joke. They more violent over there. So if they come over here to kill somebody, ain't nothing.
No, it was speaking of over there. You're talking about Mexico.
Yeah.
So you've been to Puerto Rico, you've been to LA, of course. Which have you been to Mexico?
Have I been over there
for business?
I only went over there just to meet them the one time. That's it.
And then did you see anything like you watch these movies like what's Sicario? I don't know if you ever seen that movie. You ever seen Sicario?
Yeah, I seen it. I've been more in a business setting.
Yeah.
When I come over there, he told him what type of person I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He really want me to meet the family, this and that and all that. So I was on another level of how he endorsed me.
Yeah.
So it was almost like family.
Yeah. And one thing too, like just talking to you before this podcast, one thing that I didn't even think about is that at your level, there's actually less violence because it's at the street level. It makes sense now. The street level is where all the people get killed over $100. Right. But at your level, you're the businessman. You are not getting your hands dirty like that. You're just there to get the drugs, but then it goes down. And but you're also dealing with some very high level people that if you wrong them, they will hurt your family, they will kill you. But I guess I just didn't think about that because I think of it, because I'm naive about this, right? I just think that it's at every level there's violence, and there is. Yeah, it is. But it's really at the street level, of course. Right. That's where the most violence occurs. It's kind of obvious, but
I guess it's the individual. Some people just violent. They love it. I mean, it's just like they love the money. They love that. They love that power. You know what I'm saying? They love that recognition, that acceptance. I think that's weak. People like, Twan, you different. I think that's weak.
Yeah.
You gonna kill somebody, you know what I'm saying, because you want everybody to accept you or everybody to recognize you killed that person for what?
Right.
So not that, I could call 100 guys up like that, and out of that 100, 50 I'm going hard. But it got to be a reason. I'm not gonna let nobody touch my family. Yeah, I'm gonna protect my family. I'm the head of the house.
Right.
Most times that I got in a situation, if it's a shootout or anything, it's because somebody else. It's my nephew. I'm protecting him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's a friend. I'm protecting them because they know I can make a call. But in terms of go out and do something where I could make that choice,
let it go.
Let it go.
So they put the GPS tracker on your car. How long until you're indicted? After that,
once they put the tracking on it, 28 days.
Oh, you got indicted pretty much in a month.
Well, they said, this is paperwork. They had 28 days on the GPS, right?
Yeah, right.
So after that, that's how long that they had it on there. That's when they locked me up. That's when they locked you up.
A month later, you were in jail.
Yeah.
All right. So let's start going to court here. So that's one of the things about your story that's fascinating is that, I say this with all sincerity, your case is the most fascinating legal case that I'm aware of. I'm talking about all the biggies, everything from Miranda, to Mapp versus Ohio, which, said that the Fourth Amendment applies to the states. Because you just look at the big picture. Not only is the case legally fascinating, but your story is fascinating because it wasn't just one trial and an appellate court and a Supreme Court.
Right.
You actually, I think I counted 7, if I have it right, 7 legal, not trials because you can't say an appellate court, the Supreme Court is not a trial,
right,
but 7 legal cases that went before judges.
Right.
The first one started, the original one, I think it ultimately ended a mistrial. But give us the Reader's Digest version of your first time in federal court. What charges are you facing? I also think that a lot of people flipped on you.
Oh, yeah.
I think everybody flipped on you.
Not everybody.
Not everybody, okay.
But some of the people that flip, it would be surprising that they flip. But that's the thing that people got to understand. You never know who be the one to flip. It might be the ones that straight out go hard.
Yep.
And that'd be the one who flip.
Yep.
Because they looking at it like, I'm going to go hard, I'm going to flip, and when I get out there, I'm just going to go hard. And, whatever comes. So the guys that really flip on me, they were very close to me.
Right.
I mean, real close.
So who was the closest?
Well, I had one that his brother, we was real tight. I was there for his brother. I was there for everybody, but his brother worked under me, with my staff. So since he was like 12th grade or 11th grade, right? Since a grown college, I made sure he was all right when he went to college. So we was tight. That person was tight too. And it was, they was upset because nobody in that whole neighborhood, I worked in that neighborhood, everybody was upset.
Yeah.
Because how close we was, and you wouldn't even get no time. You might have got 10 years,
right,
and you just broke down.
Right.
The other guy, me and him met in prison. We was tight. I'm talking about super tight, workout tight, all that, right? And this dude had so much respect in prison and on the street. Nobody believed he told. People had to come to court. The feds wouldn't let me, like when the males come down there, and especially they know that they like drug dealers or anything, they chase them out of the courtroom. So the females, we had to send females down there because nobody would believe this dude was telling, because that's his reputation is up there. So when
this is not your cellie, by the way. This is something.
No, this is not my cellie.
Yeah.
This guy. This is a close friend that everybody respect.
Gotcha.
And because he go hard, and he's a nice person, right? So now the feds won't let nobody in the courtroom that they think would tell the streets he is,
right, because he'll get killed or something. Potentially, right? Or get hurt.
It's more of they just, how the feds, they just wants to be in control. So they was on the first trial, they was making sure nobody would come in that courtroom, especially if they know you. they'll chase you out. Just doing all kinds of stuff. Everybody like, man, we ain't going down there. The feds is doing this.
Right.
So we got females to come down there to say, Pep is, he's on edit that. Yeah. So he's on the thing, right?
You're right on the timer.
Yeah. So I had to call my brother. My brother got about 100 disorderly resisting arrests. He's known for it. That's what they do. In our neighborhood, we fight the police. So I had to make a call. I'm like, man, y'all need to get down here. These feds is making people won't let nobody in the courtroom.
Right.
They know my brother. Then we had to bring some other guys. All these guys like 6'3", 6'4". So they come down there and they don't believe, nobody believed that this dude is on the stand. So they come down there, they in the back at first. Then all of a sudden, they move to the front. The marshals don't say nothing because they ain't doing nothing wrong. They just want to get a eyeball of what they doing.
Right, in a public trial.
That's it. Mm-hmm. So they move to the front. The feds come in there, the FBI, and tell them like, what's your name, this and that, and all that. These are the wrong guys. They gonna tear that courtroom up. They was ready to tear it up. So they told them like, who was y'all? Because they know they ain't marshals. They were like, no, can we go? No, we ain't going nowhere. So they gets up. The feds maybe about 5'10", 5'11". These big boys, they ready to go. Like, what's up? They look like, what's up? And they know my brother. They call him Crazy Ty. He like, what's up? And then the other ones get up. The feds looking like, because if they just start at, the judge would have went off. Mm-hmm. So our lawyer just told the judge what happened, what the FBI agents did. She went off. Don't you ever, anybody come in this courtroom, you tell a marshal if you think it's a threat. But it wasn't a threat. They just moved up front.
Right.
And they want to see him. They know him. Right. Because one of the guys, nobody could believe that this dude was doing it. So she got on him. Then the prosecutors flipped it. Your Honor, over Mexico, they kidnapping people. What that got to do with me? So she said, what that got to do with Mr. Jones? It's part of this case. That's what they said. It's part of this case. They kidnapped one of the witnesses, the government witnesses. They kidnapped him. So
wait, part of in your case?
One of our case, yeah.
They kidnapped him?
Yeah, they kidnapped him, and they kidnapped him because they found out he was telling, right? Right. So they kidnapped him.
Okay.
So they telling the government like I got something to do with it. That's why the FBI. She said, I don't care. The marshals can come and ask you any question.
Right. It's their courtroom.
The FBI.
Right. No. Now, so there are a lot of people that were in, it wasn't just you, obviously. How many people were indicted total in your case? Was it 7?
We 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably all together 10.
Okay. And that includes some cartel guys? Or no?
It was 10, including Mexicans, 3 Mexicans.
Right. And that's why the cartel's kidnapping people.
Yeah.
Because they're really trying to protect those guys. Well, not you.
Well, they was protecting me.
Because you're the highest guy in the ladder.
No, they protected me because that ain't what they doing. This is, you had a Mexican that was from Texas, right? Then you had Mexicans that was from Mexico. They know better. The person they kidnapped was a big he's a drug lord, but he was out of Virginia. So they kidnapped him because they found out he was working for the government. Right. And was supposed to be coming testify in my behalf.
On your behalf or against you? Yeah.
Let me tell you. He ended up testifying on my behalf, but he tricked the government. The government thought that he was going to testify for them. Mm-hmm. So when they said he was kidnapped, they should have knew something was up. So when he did testify in the third trial, because in the third trial he testified, and I don't know why they didn't hurt him or whatever, because he was up there on the level, but he testified. But in the when he finished testifying after a day or two with the government, I think in 5 minutes it was over with, because he said it wasn't me.
Do you think he was originally, though, and this is the reason why the cartel kidnapped him, that originally he was actually going to try hurt you or hurt the cartel? Because I'm just trying to wonder why. Like, why would the cartel kidnap somebody that actually is going to help you?
Well, no, what I'm saying, he was with the government at first.
Right.
He came back as a government witness.
I see.
So when he testified, he talked about his conspiracy.
Right.
The judge went off, because I should have went home then, because it prejudiced me with his conspiracy.
Right.
So he talks about trucks pulling up, armed guards, all this.
I see.
Everything had nothing to do with me.
Right.
But did he know me? Yes, he did know me.
Yeah.
Did I know him? Yes, I did know him. So when he testified, I'm listening to him. But I'm like, this is not even got nothing to do with me. But the dumb government, they didn't know.
Right.
They just go on with it.
Right.
They just thinking like, oh, we got him. So everybody listening to him, I think it was 2 days. So when I went up there, I couldn't get around it. He didn't know me. So I asked him, do you know who Mr. Jones is? And he said, yes. I said, who is Mr. Jones? He said, me. So I said, are you telling this jury right here that Mr. Jones was, I named everything he said, was there with the trucks and this big warehouse? And I said, are you saying to this jury that Mr. Jones was there? He said, no. The government about to fall out. He said, no. I said, so you saying that you know Mr. Jones, correct? He said, yes. So I said, well, who was there? He said, some tall black guy. I said, so I did what he did. Tall black guy. What you mean by black guy? Real dark skin. So, it was like the government don't know what to do. You just had this man up for two days talking about a conspiracy. And he just said it was a tall black guy. So I said, no, I looked at the jury. No further question. I don't think I was up there 5 minutes.
Right. This is when you defend yourself. This is after the Supreme Court, though.
Yeah.
So the first trial that you had, it was a hung jury, I believe. Mistrial.
The first trial, it was a mistrial. I had 34 count.
34 counts, okay.
And they hung on a conspiracy count. All the rest, I got acquitted on the rest of them. It was not guilty, not guilty, not guilty, and I hung on the last.
So the first one was a hung jury.
Yes.
They retry you.
Yes.
On those, the few charges now? The conspiracy.
It was just
one conspiracy.
Just conspiracy.
To distribute more than something.
Right.
Yeah. You got convicted?
Yes, she destroyed me.
Who's she?
The prosecutor.
Okay.
She, excellent. She just came back. I don't know what she did, but she came back and she act like every lawyer that we had. On the closing, she destroyed.
She did a good job.
She did an excellent job.
And you actually got life in prison.
Yes.
Now, life in prison means life in prison in the federal system, right? It means you're coming out in the box.
And you deceased.
You're coming out in the box.
Yes.
Right. So then, how much discussion was there in that original trial, which is the second trial, really, right? How much was there about this GPS? Did your lawyers make it a big deal that they put a GPS track on your car without a warrant?
Yeah, we still put the motion in. We still came with the same motion.
Yep.
I had put a motion in. I believe it was the first trial. It was a pro se motion, and the motion I put in was actually citing K-Roll and
Carroll's as a beeper case involving. Yep.
Yeah, and Knox, right?
Yep.
And because I was explaining to my lawyer, and he kept saying, "No, it's in." What you were saying, Plainview, it's in the public.
Correct. You have no expectation of privacy.
Yeah, he kept saying I had no. I said no. I said I don't read that case like that because I'm in jail. I know he's a popular lawyer. He's not reading no case. He probably got a paralegal. So I'm reading case after case, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, they talking about the future.
Yeah.
And I was explaining to him, this is the future.
Right.
The GPS is different from a beeper.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to hear it. So I say, ask the judge, can I put a motion in? So I wrote a pro se motion. She was upset because she denied his motion out the top, but she put mine in part. I guess you could break that down in part. And the part was basically said you ain't going home. And we're not suppressing nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, cool. I just, whatever. I get it in, what we say, we get it in the Court of Appeal. And that's her little favor, say, get it in the Court of Appeal.
Right.
So
that's where we go. So you get life in prison. You go to the Court of Appeal. You're sitting. You probably were transferred by then, right? Did you actually? Are you still in?
Yeah. They sent me to Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado.
Yeah, they sent me to Colorado.
So you go to the D.C. Court of Appeals, and I think you win at the D.C. Court of Appeals.
When all 3 judges went with us.
All 3.
Yeah, all 3.
So they said that putting that GPS tracker on your car was a search under the Fourth Amendment.
Yes.
Now, what did they say? Why? Was it because of the expectation of privacy issue, or did they go with the trespass?
I think it was more of an expectation of privacy because, like you said, they touched the vehicle and put it on.
Yeah.
And the intrusiveness of following me for
28 days.
28 days.
Yep.
And it went on and on. It's like, it's no privacy. You knew everywhere I went.
Correct.
You could come back and say, oh, he dead. So
yep.
I guess they were saying, if I was gay, for instance, and I go to a gay bar, they know I went to a gay bar.
Right. They know
that might be some kind of privacy that I want.
Right.
So they knew everywhere that I went to.
They know your political association.
Yes.
You're going to the GOP, the Democratic Party. You're going, you're going to places that the government and the government's arguing, hey, look, since there's no expectation of privacy, we could, and they said this in the Supreme Court, we could track everybody in the United States as long as they're on a public road.
Right.
That's what they're doing to you.
Right.
Which is crazy to say that.
Right. Well, that's what I think hurt them.
Because and so, okay, we're going to talk about what the Supreme Court said. So you win at the Court of Appeals.
Yeah.
But you're not let out, are you?
No. And I got to mention this because in the Court of Appeals, I had a appeal lawyer, right? But the ACLU got on board. They just took it to a whole big level. They just put it up there.
Yep.
The motion that they put in, we did good in the Court of Appeals. Now I'm gone to the penitentiary.
Yep.
Colorado is one of those disciplinary penitentiaries. I'm going to a disciplinary. I ain't done nothing.
Right.
But it's a really rough joint. They call it the devil den.
Yeah, I think, was that where you went to Supermax?
No, I didn't go to Supermax, but the pen is just as worse. We stay locked down.
Yeah.
I come down there, somebody get killed, we lock down.
Yeah.
We come out, somebody get killed, we lock down again.
Yeah.
It's just as worse. You lock down 24/7. Here, you lock down 24/7, but when you come out, it's so dangerous.
Right. Anything else you want to add about the Court of Appeals? So
Well, the Court of Appeals, it was a slam dunk. Right. I just, when I looked at what they did, how they argued, they slam dunked it.
And you must have been so excited.
Oh, I was. Because I'm a researcher, and when the ACLU asked to come on board, I was like, that's a gift from God.
Right.
Because I know they coming, they for our rights.
Right.
They for the Fourth Amendment, they gonna argue. And then they expert at doing stuff like that.
Right.
So when they did it, everybody was happy for me. Everybody was happy.
So you're in prison in Colorado. You get notified that, hey, the Court of Appeals in D.C. ruled in your favor.
No, when I got, they put me out of Colorado.
Okay.
Because I was suing them, and the warden said, the warden like, we don't need nobody like that on this compound. Get them off, because I shouldn't have been there.
Right.
Because I haven't done nothing. I'm not no D.C. gang leader. I'm trying to fight to get home. What I look like being a leader. And I love my homies. Right. But I wasn't no shot caller. Right. And the government put something in my file that had me go there. It violated my all kind. I'm hip to the civil right. I'm like, okay, you want me to sue you? I sue you, but I didn't have to do that. They just say, let them go. So I went to Lee County. Where? Lee County in Virginia. Virginia, okay. Yeah. So much better, you're closer to home. I ain't gonna say much better, but it's closer to home. It's a penitentiary. All of them is rough. Totally. Yeah. So you are closer to home, which is nice. That's when you get notified that you won your case at the appellate level? Yeah. I got to tell a story because this one day, me and my cellie, I think it was CNN. Something was on. Some news was on. Big news was on, and we wait. Everybody waiting for the Supreme Court. Everybody. I'm talking about the whole United States. Everybody in jail waiting because everybody is using that case, the Jones case, and. My son is more like, he's comical. He always joking. And then he just went off like, Twan, they just talk about your case. I said, man, stop playing. You don't play about stuff like that. He said, no, man, I'm stuck. When it came back, United States, Jones, and it says affirm, meaning that I won. I was stuck. By that time, it seemed like the whole D.C., everybody must have seen the same news. Flooded. Right. And the penitentiary, when you see a whole bunch of DC coming, everybody leave. Right. Because they think somebody get ready, something happening. So the case manager or the unit manager say let them all in. Because they liked me. Because they said, yeah, Jones just won.
At the Supreme Court.
Yeah, at the Supreme Court. So the correction officer, everybody was happy. Yeah. For me. Because everybody was waiting to see what's going to happen. Right. So they all came up there. We did our little partying. And it was, now I'm thinking I'm going home. Right. I'm like, oh no, I'm going home.
You're packing.
Yeah, I'm packing because what they've been using in the first 2 trials is the money in that house, the stash house. Right.
And they got to the stash house with the GPS.
And y'all talk about the GPS. Oh, the few of the pours in the street, that's over with. Yep. But when I come back, the judge like, you ain't going nowhere. And I'm like, hold up, with the Supreme Court. And the Court of Appeals. See, like, the government came back and switched up and said that ain't how they found the house.
Right.
They said, what was it? They were saying they could have found it other way.
Right, inevitable discovery. Yeah. Right? Or independent source doctrine.
Yeah, so that's what they said. And so they took everything dealing with the GPS, they took out the data.
Right, and anything resulting from that data.
Yeah, they took out.
Just one little question before I can continue. Did you try to go and be in the court, in the Supreme Court? I mean, you are in prison, but was that even something on your mind that you like, no, I would love to sit in the court and hear my case?
I have a lot of common sense. On the Supreme Court level, you not only got this ACLU, I'm reading stuff saying, I don't know if it's Harvard scholar, all these Ivy Leagues, these scholars, and Fourth Amendment violation. There's no way that I even, because I know how the judges and they would take. I'm like, nah. I mean, I'm smart enough to know, because I'm reading, like, no, let them go.
Yeah, let them fight it out.
Yeah, and
I'm just curious if I never seen, I don't think there's no case where a prisoner has been allowed to be in the court to hear their own case tried before the Supreme, or heard before the Supreme Court. Yeah. But I was just wondering if you tried to even ask, hey, lawyer, can I actually be in the court while my case is being heard?
I didn't know if they could, because I never seen it, because I could have did better than my Court of Appeal lawyer. Yeah. But he had everybody else.
Okay, was your Court of Appeal attorney the same one that went before the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
Okay. Same
one. He's the one for the Court of Appeal. Because, yeah, he definitely was. It was he was the one who argued, but the person was his professor at Duke. I thought he won't let him argue, but I guess he said, "Nah, this is my chance at the title."
Of course, yeah.
But because this dude was he was a prosecutor, he was on the government side. And he argued it quite a few times. Okay, and he was a Duke professor, so I'm thinking like, okay, this dude got spoons. That he would be the better person, but he didn't let. I guess he just mentored and got him. Yeah. So he went out there and. Some people say he did good. Some people say he dropped the ball. The judge, the justice said, "Look, this ain't how Jones wants you to argue." They helped him out. They put him back on track. And once they put him on track, he went for it. Yeah. So he did a good job once they put him on track.
Yeah. And you can also, just for our listeners, you can actually listen to those arguments. Have you listened to it on OEA?
Oh, yes. Did I?
Yeah.
Plenty of times.
And you thought, how do you think well, first of all, I've listened to it. The government gets creamed by the U.S.
Oh, yes.
It's a bloodbath.
It's a bloodbath. I mean, it was their response when I think one of the justices said, y'all could do it on us.
The Chief Justice said, let me get this, I'm going to paraphrase here, but he says, this so you're correct here. Like, you're saying that you have no privacy, in public, and you can put GPS trackers on our cars,
Yeah.
the justices' cars,
Yeah.
and the government said yes. How are you going to win that case?
That was it.
How do
right
you
there.
win? After saying, yeah, we can track you
But
too.
what can they say? I guess they couldn't say
They
nothing.
can't say. If you say, no, we can't do it, then you just admitted that you're wrong.
Right. And not only you can do it on them, you saying you're going to do it on everybody.
And that's what the other thing they kind of admitted to. Like, at the end of the day, because there's just no they said, basically what they said was, because there's no expectation of privacy, and we're going to talk about what ultimately the case held, because it's a little bit different than privacy, but because there's no expectation of privacy, we could track America. Like, we could put GPS trackers on everybody, and the government's like, the government solution was, well, your honors, if you don't like it, then Congress can put a law against it.
Yeah, it was...
It's crazy.
It was crazy, but that's the system.
Yeah.
I was blessed.
Yeah.
The other people wasn't blessed. So if I wasn't around, it wouldn't be this standing.
No, totally. So look, in all fairness, the government was not without its good arguments. At the end of the day, there was a very good argument that that this was not an expectation of privacy issue, but ultimately they didn't rule that way.
Right.
They ruled. I mean, some justices want to say that this was. It was unanimous in your favor, okay? But some justices said, you know what, it's really, it's not trespass, it's going to be privacy. Like, we believe that you just went too far here.
Right.
Maybe if you tracked them for 1 day, maybe we wouldn't be here, but 30 days, 28 days is too much.
Too much.
But ultimately, they didn't go with they didn't go with privacy, they went with trespass, right?
Right.
And that's seminal because, just to give our readers a little, from a lawyer point of view, what happened was, in 1928 or something, there was a case called Olmstead, which was where the feds, prohibition agents, right? Mm-hmm. They put alligator clips on a telephone pole, and they listened to Olmstead's conversation. He was a bootlegger. Well, Olmstead said, well, that's a Fourth Amendment search. You're listening to my phone call, and the U.S. Supreme Court said no, because it's not a search or seizure of telephone wires, right? And also, the government did not go into his apartment. They actually didn't physically enter an area where he has a right to. It's not his person, house, paper, or effect.
Right.
Well, so we fast forward to 1967. And the feds, thinking that as long as we don't trespass, we can just listen to people's conversations. They put a recording device on top of a telephone booth with this guy named Katz. Now, I know you know the name Katz, okay? Because that was mentioned several times in your court case. Right. And the Supreme Court there said, you know what? Actually, even though the federal government did not enter the phone booth, listening to his phone calls was a search because it violates privacy. The Fourth Amendment does not use the word privacy. In fact, the word privacy does not actually, it's not mentioned anywhere in the U.S. Constitution. Mm-hmm. But the Supreme Court and Scalia, which is, he's the one that authored your opinion. Right. He did not like this. He did not like the Katz case, but he said that regardless, you are violating a person's privacy by listening to their phone calls surreptitiously, meaning, they don't even know they're listening being. And so the reason why this is important is because after 1967, that case, just like your case, rocked the judicial world, and everybody's thinking privacy, 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 privacy. Right. You talked about Knotts. You talked about Caro.
Yeah.
Those were beeper cases where the federal government put a beeper into a can of chloroform or something, whatever that's called, a barrel, and they tracked this guy to his farm. Right. They said no expectation of privacy on public whereabouts. Right. That's why the federal government thought they didn't really need a government. Yeah. Now, the point is that everybody's been ingrained ever since law school. When I went to law school, we talked about your case, but people before your case were never talked about trespass. It was all about privacy. Right. So here's the point. The point is, when your case came out, it said, look, there's actually another search. Don't go back to Olmstead. We also don't forget that if they would have entered the home or trespassed into some protected area, we said that would have been a search. Right. And that's why when they put that GPS tracker on your car, when they trespass, which is intermeddling, just touching, with the intent to get information, that was a search. Now, I gave you, before when we started talking, and again, I just can't thank you enough for being here. Because, I really sincerely, and we're going to talk about, you have a thing called road redemption. Right. I've actually been saying, I didn't even know you even had that, by the way, but I've been telling my people, my class, my cops, that listen to this case not only is a fascinating legal story, but you are, you road to redemption. You are doing a lot of good work out there trying to help your community. Right. And by the way, even when you were a kingpin, you were helping your community. Like, right? We know that you were giving money back to your community. You were telling people to put the guns down. Right. So you are a unique person in that sense, even though you were clearly breaking the law and you shouldn't have been doing that.
Right. That's true.
100%. But you were still not a bad person in your core, you know? So I remember some of the things I shared with you. Do you remember the case? Well, I told you about a case involving poking the tire.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm sorry. There's a case out of Texas where a trooper was like, bumping on a tire to see if it was hollow. Right. And it wasn't hollow. It was filled with methamphetamine and so forth. And they go to court on it, and the government's like, no, our trooper can do that because there's no privacy in poking the tire. Right. And her name was Richmond. Richmond was like, no, don't forget about Jones. Jones said, you're trespassing with the intent to get information. That GPS tracker didn't break anything on Jones's car. It didn't scratch the paint or anything like that. You don't need real damage. Right. You just need trespass. And the court said, you're right. Mm-hmm. Because of Jones, right? And so I'm like blown away that poking a tire in Texas is a search. Yeah, I was shocked when I read it. Shocked. Nobody would have thought in a million years. No. I was working at a city attorney's office when I was in law school, and they knew I was a search and seizure guy, right? And so that case came out, poking the tire, and they came in, these two attorneys, and they're like, Anthony, did you just see what happens, And the poking the tire, I'm like, yeah. And they're like, how in the hell is that a search? I said, you don't know Jones then. And they said, we don't know Jones. Uh-huh. And they read it and they said, this is the sleeping giant of the Fourth Amendment. Because then you have another case called chalking the tire, where a parking enforcement officer chalked the tire. That was right. Shocking. So for all these people who violate parking laws, they thank God the Jones. Right. He's gonna wear parking tickets. Right. And you see it all the time. I see people like 6 o'clock, get ready. Yeah, no more. And I'm like, now, unfortunately, give them people tickets. Give them tickets. Now, thank for you. You are like the parking god. But the Ninth Circuit said you can do it in the Ninth Circuit. They said, yes, it is a search under Jones, but you can do it because of what's called the administrative search doctrine. And the last case I was going to share with you is a cop in Utah put his I'm paraphrasing here, but he put his hand on the hood of a car. Yeah. To see if it was hot. With the lady. Mm-hmm. And they said, yeah, that's a search. Mm-hmm. And what's interesting is that none of these cases, none of them implicate a right of privacy. Okay, if you're a Fed and you go put your hand on my hood right now to see if it's hot, I can't argue privacy. No way. Right. It's trespass. Right. Isn't it fascinating? Yeah, it is. And it has a lot of implications. Let me give you an example of a case that I maybe see what your opinion is. Okay, since you are the namesake, right, of this doctrine, there was a case out of Texas, okay, where this guy gets arrested for disorderly conduct. Now he has a gun on him, and he's lawful. He's not a prohibited person. He's not a felon. The gun is not stolen. So, it's Texas. When you become a resident there, they give you a gun. Right. God bless Texas. Wow. It's a high point. It's a cheap gun. I'm joking. You're probably like, that's probably serious. So they take the gun and they book it into, safekeeping. Because again, he's allowed to have it. Right. Right. But they do a forensic analysis. They shoot the gun in a barrel of water. It's a common thing that they take the bullet in the shell casing, they put it what's called NIBIN. NIBIN is like the national, but it's basically a national database for firearms ballistics. Okay? Okay. Now, so you know that every gun has unique characteristics, right? The bullet out of the barrel, it's like a fingerprint. Okay. The hammer, the pin that hits the bullet is a fingerprint. Right. They put that into NIBIN, which is controlled by the ATF. And they, I think that's correct. And regardless, it comes back to a murder. Whoa. This guy that got arrested for disorderly conduct in a parking lot at Walmart shot a homeless person randomly. He was driving by, whatever his motive was, and he was shooting into a tent that was occupied, and he shot this guy. It was just a random thing. They got shell casings from the victim, or not shell casings, well, shell casings maybe, but bullets from the victim, right? Right. And guess it comes back to that gun. Now, what's the argument? Jones. Because when they shot that gun, that gun is not unlawful for him. When they shot it, were they putting a bullet down the barrel? Were they trespassing on his property? Is that gun a protected item? Well, I mean, I have some display things here, right? Are these protected under the Fourth Amendment for me? You're right, they are, right? Right. So the argument is, when you shot it, was that a trespass onto property, onto an effect?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
I don't know. I got to think. I usually do my research.
Yeah,
but
you're investing with somebody's property, right?
Yeah, you definitely.
Are you intending to seek information? When they shot that gun in the barrel of water, were they trying to get information?
Yeah, you definitely.
How's that any different than what they did to you? Logically. Yeah. How's that different than touching your Grand Cherokee?
Right. You're doing it to get information.
Correct. And I'm messing with your stuff, right?
Right.
That gun doesn't belong to the police. It's just it's safekeeping.
Right.
Now, I'm not saying that, and look, I'm not saying this is a slam dunk case. Right. I'm just saying you would have never had this even argument that what they did in that case was even a search, because there is no expectation of privacy in the rifling of a barrel of a gun.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like, where's the expectation? I'm not saying, maybe there is. I'm just saying that most courts would say no.
Right.
But when you have a test like Jones, which says trespass plus intent to get information is a search, you have cases like that. And maybe it's a good thing and maybe it's a bad thing. Hey, I don't know how you feel, but let's say that the guy walks because he's like, hey, it's a Jones search. Right? It's a bad outcome. Okay. But at the end of the day, that's what, you know this more than anybody, civil rights has costs, right? Right.
And let me add to that, right? The day of the Supreme Court, I was at, like I say, a Lee County Penitentiary, and you never know who is waiting on what case. When a case is coming out, it's a lot of people in prison waiting on a case on the same compound, the same unit. Yep. So when it happened, it was so many people coming up there, like, the guys on the compound, because they wanted to just come. Man, my lawyer was waiting for that, and they like, oh, the OG, old time OG, original gangster, the one from DC. A lot of people ain't gonna remember me because I'm in the library most of the time or at the gym. So so many people was coming up there, almost in tears, saying we was waiting, different cases, different scenarios, right? So I was like, I was happy to go home, but I didn't know. And I was telling myself, man, this case is bigger than me. It is bigger, because there was too many people that was just on the compound I was on. Sure. Imagine them other places. Yeah. Well, in the I got some good news and I got some bad news. The good news is that the Supreme Court suppressed your evidence, but I don't know if you know this, but they didn't have to do that. Okay. The reason why is because at the time that they decided your case, it was not clearly established that was a search on the Fourth Amendment. In fact, as I told you, most courts in the country, because your case went down in 2003, ultimately, right? I think the day they put on. No, when we went down. No. When did they put the GPS tracker on your car? In 2000. I went in 2005. I think it was 2005. 2005. So in 2005, the law at that time was that this was not a search on the Fourth Amendment. And the general rule in the law is that you don't penalize cops for doing something that they reasonably thought that was legal at the time. Right. When the cops, the feds, put that tracker in the car, they thought, sincerely thought that this was legal. So usually the Supreme Court will say, or lower courts will say, hey, this is a violation. This is a search, okay? Right. But because you didn't know at the time, we're not going to penalize you. But moving forward, all these people are on notice. Right, and that's, because I can tell you that they suppress your evidence. But there was a case in California where similar facts, it might have been Florida, but regardless, it was another GPS case. Right. That guy got convicted. Because the court said, hey, I'm sorry, Jones said that this is a search, but at the time that they did it, before the Supreme Court case came out, the cops didn't realize it was a mistake. Right. And they actually used that, I sued them too. And for what? For money? You wanted money? No, not money. Most of them I sued them for was Fourth Amendment violation, coming into our house before the time. Oh, these other issues. Gotcha. All the issue with the GPS, the knocking and out. I sued them. Yeah. And on the GPS, they gave them immunity. Yeah. Most of them, they was giving them immunity. They settled under the table. They settled with you. Yeah. I didn't know this. Yeah, they settle. It's I guess what they say I'm supposed to disclose. Yeah, it's undisclosed amount. What bothers me the most about it, Mr. Jones, is that I paid for dinner last night when you're having all this money from the federal government. Why didn't you pick up the tab when you have this money from the feds? But I digress. But the feds, when they wrong, they want to keep it. They're here. Anything I do wrong and everybody else do wrong, it's gonna be on. But you can probably look it up, but they get immunity. So it's like,
yeah, they got immunity for the GPS.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm talking about. The evidence was suppressed against you, but yet they also gave them immunity because why? It wasn't clearly established.
right.
But you got money on the knock and announce violation, which is fascinating. I did not know about that. So definitely don't cross your path and piss you off. You know what I mean?
I mean, I
It's
want to do
crazy.
what I got to do. You got to learn.
Okay, the last thing I want to talk to you about is that you defended yourself. In the last, after you won at the Supreme Court, people did not realize this, but it wasn't like your legal woes were over.
Nah.
They didn't give you the key for your own cell and say, walk out of here.
Not in that courtroom.
And one thing that I get all the time is, why isn't this double jeopardy? The man's already been through a trial, and now you're trying him again.
Well,
what's your answer to that?
First of all, the judge, I'm gonna mock what she said, quote what she said. She said, get it in the court of appeal. That was her favorite court, right? Because I was like, Your Honor, I'm supposed to be going home. Like, no, you on a trial. So if she basically saying, well, even if you win, I'm probably see you again.
Right, you're not done.
Yeah, it's not done. So the third trial, we were set to go to the third trial
After the Supreme Court.
Yeah, after the Supreme Court, we were set for a third trial.
But just want to make, people are like, third trial, why not just one trial? Because again, your story is fascinating. The first trial you ever go through in your whole life, mistrial or hung jury.
Right.
Next trial, conviction.
Right.
Next trial, which is not a trial, but it's appellate court, you win.
Right.
Next one, Supreme Court, you win. The next one is the court, the federal government going back at you and saying, you know what, we're going to try you again, no double jeopardy, because you took it to the Fed, the Supreme Court. They said, do a do-over, just don't use any GPS data. That really your third trial was what? A hung jury.
Right. It was, the third trial was a hung jury.
Which is the one after the Supreme Court. The first one after the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it was a hung jury.
Then you go back to the court. They're not done with you. Another hung jury, correct?
Now, on the third trial, the government came to me.
And shall I give you a plea?
And they said, look, we don't the prosecutor, because every day since I was acting as my lawyer, we had to speak.
Right.
We had to talk. So we kind of, professionally bond.
Yeah.
Since we talked. And she basically came to me and said, Mr. Jones, we don't want to fight no more.
We're done.
Because we was supposed to go to the fourth trial.
Right.
So, I was like, well, let me go. Like the judge said, let me go. And she was like, Mr. Jones, my superior queen, they hate you. I'm like, me? They hate me? I ain't never killed nobody. All y'all government witnesses, they should be hating them.
Right, and they're free, by the way.
But they was like, no, this is how the system is, Mr. Jones. You know how it is. If you would have told, you'd have been gone home. So I said, that ain't happening. So she was like, if I go talk to my people, which is the United States Attorney, and the system, United States Attorney Office, and we talk to the judge, can we work something out? Let me go. That's all I say. So somehow she went back there and told the judge whatever. And she came back and she said, well, the judge say, if you take a cop today, she'll let you go. I say, for real? Come on, you think I want to go to another trial and face life in prison when a judge is on his side? The prosecutors, they're going to get better. And you got to watch your lawyers too. So it's like somebody hit me from the back, somebody hit me. I'm like, look, this is that trial. I went through it, but I had to fight. I had to study. I ain't getting no sleep. Everybody's home sleep. I got to stay up. So she came back. The judge said, if you take a cop right now, she'll go ahead and let you go. Give you 15 years.
Which is time served.
Well, no, I had a couple of years to do.
Okay.
I'm like,
right. Well, you get 15 years.
But
total.
I'm going home now. I got a date.
Yeah.
So
I see.
The news was always there, waiting, and I think they was waiting for me to see if I was going to go to the fourth trial. They locked the doors on the news people, and then they went in there, and the judge was going so fast, to take the plea. The plea was, I can't help nobody no more, because I was helping a lot of people doing a lot of motions, and they was winning. And I'm like, what? That don't make sense. Why would y'all care about me helping somebody? They were saying that the lawyers was upset. with me for helping their clients. And I still didn't get it to the day. Like, why would the lawyers be upset with me helping to their clients? Or I might tell a client to tell a lawyer to do this or whatever, right? So I said, look, I'd take the cop, but as long as I'm here in DC jail, I'm helping everybody. So she said, okay, cool. So they went in there, she did it, she speed through it. Everybody, all the news, everybody knocking on the door. They trying to break the door because they don't know what's going on. So when they come in, everybody's shocked because I'm taking the cop. Because everybody think I'm going to a fourth trial. So I take the cop, the judge happy, the government happy. I'm happy too because I know I'm going home.
Right, you have a date.
Yeah, I'm going home. So usually you got to go to pre-trial, talk to them before you go to the feds. They got me out there the next day. They shoved me to the feds, and I still, to the day, they never did that with anybody because I said I was going to help people. They're like, okay, she ain't say nothing. But somehow the marshals came and got me and just took me to the penitentiary.
Back to Lee?
No, I was in Atlanta at that time.
Okay.
Yeah, back to Atlanta.
Gotcha.
Because I went down, once I got the time, they warned him said I had to go because, I ain't had no time. And, when I came back, so I said, well, can I stay here? I had a lot of friends up there because I know I was getting ready to go home. She's like, because if something happened, you're going to sue us. So they sent me to Atlanta.
Okay.
They sent me to a lower place, right?
Right.
And it was cool because then you ain't got to worry about all the stabbing and killing and all that, right?
Right.
So I ended up, at Atlanta. That's what happened.
And that's where you served your final years?
Yes.
And then tell me we're going to take a break in a second here. And I want the last part of this is the road to redemption. Okay. Right? Just what you're doing today when you get to your side. Yeah. Tell me about the day that you got out. Tell me about just, you don't have to give.
The day I got out?
Just what, who was there to pick you up?
Well.
And where did they bring you back to DC?
Yeah, the day, I'm going to talk about the first 2 days.
Please.
Because they kind of, the first day I got out, I'm coming through the airport. Because I've been gone for a while. And now they have all these technologies and no phones. So, but they got phones but no phone booths. So I'm really like lost because I don't have no phone.
Yeah.
And I want to call my wife and them to let them know I'm out. But I'm looking through the airport like, where's the phone booth? And this is just strange to me. So I go to a person and ask them about the phone booth and they looking at me like, what is wrong with this dude? He asked about a phone booth.
Yeah, you jumped in a DeLorean.
Yeah, so I kind of like, I'm just coming home, telling the brother I'm just coming home, So he laughed. So he let me use the phone.
Yeah, he knew what you were saying. Yeah,
so he let me use the phone. And I called my wife. But it was just strange because of the new technology going on. So my cousin and all them, they caught me at the airport. And when I come in, I go to the halfway house, but I'm outside. I ain't been home so long. I got my little cousin with me, right? Little young ones, right? So they out there with us. They see these weren't the FBI, but more like jump out. So the jump out come. They got the little younger name for the jump out, and they jumped in the car and just took off. I was like, what the, because I'm like, I ain't done nothing wrong. But they stopped us and started talking to us like we did something wrong. Why you ain't chased them? They was, because they know they ain't going to catch the youngins. So I said, look, I just come home. I'm getting ready to go in the halfway house. So we left, right? So nobody know, I'm not hip to Facebook and social media. Nobody's supposed to know. I told, don't tell nobody that I'm home because I know what's going to happen. The next day, everybody came through there. Politicians, everybody, business people. And I'm like, they kept calling my name. So the people in the halfway house, the guys don't know I'm there because I just come the next day. So now everybody keeps saying Antoine Jones. They all come outside. You're not supposed to come out. So now all the guys the inmates who's in there coming outside because they hear I'm there. The politician there. Now the
local DC guys, right?
Huh?
Local DC politicians.
Yeah. They're
local guys. Yeah,
they there, and so the director's scared because the politician's there because they don't know what's going on.
Yeah. So
the lady was like, "They all here for him. They here for Jones." So I told my man, I said, "Man, get these people out of here. I ain't with this. All this. I'm not with all this attention.
Yeah.
So I goes in, I leave them out there. Because everybody just out there just like this have like it's just not a halfway house. So I go back in there. So the lady say, who is you? I said, ain't nobody. She said, you somebody. I said, I'm not nobody. I'm just like everybody else here. She said, you got all those people out there and you got politicians, you somebody, right? So one of the guys used to work be a bouncer at the club. He said, that's Twan. He's cool. Talking about back at the club, and all that. She was like, yeah, he's somebody. He said, nah, he ain't that type of person. He gonna be laid back and, all that. Yeah. Before, after I got out the halfway house, I became their consultant. They were shocked when I came back with the suit on and everything. Mm-hmm. And they was like, ain't that Jones right there?
Consultant for their cases?
No, consultant for the halfway house.
Oh, right, to help these guys.
They want somebody to see how these guys, how can we help them?
Right, connect with them.
Yeah. Yeah. So the person who owned the halfway house, we became tight, and he was like, man, can you be our consultant? Right. So I went there, I put my little suit on, and when they see me, first they was like, that look like Jones right there. But when they realized it was me, the upper level, they didn't know me because they wasn't, but the people who worked there. So they were like, yeah, we'll listen to him. Yeah. Because he's going to give it to us raw and how to deal with these guys and stuff like that.
Well, I think it's a good time. During our break, I'm going to show the video that I showed during my classes of you helping some people on the bus, find some jobs and so forth. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the final, what you're doing today and so forth. Okay? All right, let's take a break.
Himself has a fool for a client. Well, a DC man is proving the exception rather than the rule. That's because he represented himself after being accused of being a drug kingpin. Only on 7 tonight, DC Bureau Chief Sam Ford shows us the results show he's anything but a fool.
It was like a blessing just to feel the air out here.
By almost any odds, Antoine Jones would be serving life in prison right now. In 2005, owner of 2 D.C. nightclubs arrested by the feds as a drug kingpin with ties to foreign cartels. Millions in cash and cocaine seized from a stash house they said was his. Instead, he now works with at-risk young men, trying to help them find jobs, education.
I don't want them to go to the route that I had and end up in prison. Y'all want to park over there or park up there?
Social activist Dion Reeder regularly buses city workers and others to far southeast to meet the locals in a comfortable setting that includes Jones.
What we do around here, we trying to get the peace. God bless me, gave me hope. I had life in prison and I got it overturned.
In 3 federal trials, he was convicted of only 1 drug conspiracy count, later overturned by a unanimous U.S. Supreme Court because federal agents put a GPS device on his car without a warrant. We met Jones in D.C. jail in 2013, right after the feds tried him a 3rd time. Jones had fired a lawyer he didn't trust, and with his 12th grade DCPS education and Georgetown law books, represented himself.
And I kind of went off and told him, let's go to war. And that's what happened. We went to war.
He fought the feds to a 6-6 hung jury.
The government bored them. I cited them.
After 13 years, he's out. The deal, he pleaded guilty to 1 count of drug conspiracy and forfeited $1 million the feds seized.
Thank you.
He said that bus visit yielded results.
Out of this right here, we have 2 job opportunities and scholarships that they can follow up.
He's 58 and they're teens and 20-somethings, but he says there is a bond. His way to give back.
I grew up in Berry Farms. Beautiful. I grew up in Sales Place. I live around here on W Street, so I understand what they're going through.
In Southeast Washington, I'm Sam Ford, ABC 7 News.
All right, so I just showed people the video of you helping your community out in DC. Now, what are you doing these days? I see you're actually wearing a shirt that says Pro Se Litigator Project. I know you have some other things going on. Right. Where do you want to start?
Well, day one, since I come home, I've been on my road to redemption. I start off with working with collaboratives, right? Which is where they go into the community and help the high risk, which is the shooters, and the at risk, which people around the shooters. Right. So, to kind of help and guide the at risk to not be a high risk, a shooter, and make a change in the high risk. So I did that I do a lot of, my company is Always Hope, helping other people excel. Sometimes I say helping other people every day, because it seems like that's what I do. And I got Always Hope DMV, which is my nonprofit, and I have Always Hope Inc., which is this film project. And I work with homeless to get vouchers and get housed. I work with the seniors. I work with returned citizens. We do a lot of, I have sponsors that give me money to do things for the returned citizens. I do a lot of training to help them become entrepreneurs. I work with giving out food, helping food banks. During COVID, we had a movement. We just, whatever needed to be done to help our community, we was out there. Right now, this project is called a Pro Se Litigator Project. Pro Se basically just means representing yourself. Litigator, everybody know, is basically speaking for yourself. So the name of the project is the Pro Se Litigator. Before I came out, a film company came to me and they wanted to do my story. So I say, I'm a type of person, I'm gonna take advantage of the opportunity, and I want to bring it to the table. I just don't want you to do my story and I don't do anything. So I'm in jail. I'm doing time, besides working out, going to church. I have a lot of time to myself. So I end up writing 72 episodes on a series called Pro Se Litigator. I did 4 spinoff of that. Just like with The Power, I did 4 spinoff, and Law and Order, everybody got spinoff. So I said, let me do some spinoff with it, with different phases of my life. I also wrote the movie. I say, if I'm gonna write if somebody want to do the movie, let me write the movie. They could rewrite it, work with it, or whatever. I wrote a documentary. I wrote a book. I wrote songs. So I did a lot of writing.
You're creative.
If you ask me if I'm a writer, I'll probably say no. But I'm an opportunist. So I did that. I've been doing my homework. I see that the film industry is a way that you could go legitimately and make money, along with the music and everything else that goes with it, right? So my plans now is to get a warehouse, because dealing with most of these young people out there, the ones who's not going to go to college, they looking for a decent job. And I'm speaking for DC. DC is paid more minimum wages, better than most places. But the youngest don't want to get, they figure they working too hard for the little bit of money. They ain't like me, like I got to work here and move up. They want it quick. So it's easier for them to maybe sell some weed or whatever. It's easier for them to do that. So I talk to them, try to see what make you tick? What would make you put the guns down? A lot of these people are kind of like starstruck with this social media, and this is what they're about. Everybody want to be an artist. Everybody want to have talent. And a lot of them have some good talent, but the violence keep them from moving around the city, going to other city, and nobody want to deal with you if you are a shooter or you a potential shooter and stuff like that. So in this city, in Washington, D.C., it's a lot of violence. So I could go in almost any neighborhood because of my character, or maybe because of my reputation or my name. What I'm doing is to, Lord's will, get this warehouse and create a film. You know what I'm saying? I got a film company, but a film studio. Create a music sound studio. Create podcasts, 2 or 3 podcasts. Create stuff that they like going to.
Right.
But they got to go underground to somebody's basement. I want it to be a safe haven. It's close to the police station. So hopefully that's another safe haven. So I wanted, so you could go and say, look, I ain't got to bring my guns. I ain't going there to beef. I'm coming here to, because a lot of them could be running their own business. We going to teach them that. So the whole pro se litigator is not just entertainment. It's a law book. So when you watch it, you're going to learn so much law, because being in prison, that's all we do. Well, most people, you're going to have to deal with law, and you took a cop. So even when you take a cop, you want to know, do you have any rights? A lot of people don't know that. So this whole project is dealing with my road to redemption. I did my dirt, I repented for it. I asked people to forgive me. I'm trying to clean up. The reason why I don't want to do it in Atlanta, I don't want to do it in LA, because I did do my dirt I did my dirt in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And when they say DMV, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. So this whole project is, I use my money. Unless sponsors give me or donate money, a lot of time I use my money. And I go and help my community. The young people, I talk to them. We like when I say we have a movement. We have a movement of all kinds of cultures. We have Christians. We have Muslims, Sunni Muslims. We have Nation of Islams. We had returned citizens. We had the thugs. We had the community. We all come together. And this is what we do, trying to make a change. So that's where I'm at right now.
I love it. You've been fairly religious your whole life.
Yes.
Even when you're in the drug game. Our main audience is police officers, and we teach them, look, you got a job to do,
right?
But do it in a compassionate way. Would you agree with that?
Right. Yeah.
I think it's important for these officers, and that's one of the reasons I was so excited to have you on here, because I do want them to see the holistic picture.
Right.
They could have met you in the middle of your crimes and so forth, and maybe had a judgment about you and your character.
Right.
But, there's a lot of people that they meet that they don't have the time maybe to see underneath that layer of what they're doing. But there are a lot of people like you out there.
Right.
Would you also agree, empathy is important, right? I mean, if these neighborhoods can be tough.
And, the neighborhood can plant the wrong seed.
Yeah.
Depends on how you've grown up. And even when you mention law enforcement, right? My best friend that I grew up with, lived with, he's a retired captain.
Right.
He was a DC police. He moved to Maryland PG. And when he retired, I detectives, I got friends that detectives, friends that's marshals, people that I train. So I look at the police as really doing what they're supposed to do. You got some bad police too.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, trust me, they still rob you and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And you have some good police. I look at you or how you are. If you're doing your job, I'm not mad at the police. A lot of people are mad at the police. Twan, why is you talking to the police? And I keep it real. I'm very open and honest. He's doing a job. What you doing?
Right.
And I'm keeping it real. You're doing something that, if he helping his family, he's doing like anybody else. He's just a job. But, as a person who's breaking the law, you wants to be, distance from the police. But if something happened, I'm going to call the police.
Right.
Because that's their job. So I can't really talk bad about if you see pictures. I don't do nothing without getting the police involved, because I'm smart enough to know that I don't have no gun. The police have a gun. And if something happened, at least they there. So I try to build
when you're making your movies and in your presence, right?
In the community.
Right.
Most of the stuff that I do in the community, I feel better if the police partner up with us.
Right.
A lot of them like, Twan, why are you doing that with the police? I look at it different.
Yeah.
I feel much better if we're doing something, especially if they deal right there with you.
Yeah.
That they did.
Yeah.
So I don't really look at it. A lot of people, and I try to teach them, when I work with the high risk, I teach the staff, look, man, they just a job. Y'all look at it different. So they start seeing what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
A lot of these police came from the hood.
Right.
They just don't want to go to jail. They chose to be a police. They chose to be a correction officer. They chose to be a marshal. So I don't really have no beef. Yeah, some of the FBI agents in our case, yeah, you know, and I think that's what they do. Not all of them, but they get away with it so much. They don't have, like she said, they don't have people making them work as hard as I work. You know, when the Super Bowl was on, I wasn't watching the Super Bowl. They couldn't watch the Super Bowl because Antoine Jones didn't watch it, and they know I wouldn't watch it because the snitches at the jail is telling them what I'm doing. So they like, man, you making us work. That's their job. If you want to convict me, you have to do work. So I don't really have like issues with officers on my film. Most of them detectives. Mm-hmm. I love them because they can insult. I could write about what I think a police do, but I can't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I got a best friend that he could tell me because he knows
their culture.
Right. Yeah. The guy who the DP, he's a known detective. He could tell us, you know, because he was a detective. Some of the actors, I was shocked that they was y'all police undercover. I didn't know that, but they actors too. So you don't know. If a person don't go around and say I'm the police, you might not never know.
So I think I know my message to my officers is like, number one is that have some empathy for environments. I mean, if I was raised in D.C., who knows what I'd be doing? You know, it can be tough. I mean, right. I didn't say I had the easiest life, but also didn't have the hardest. Right. And some compassion, and also the another thing is, even if you have a person who's wrapped up in crime, you know, you could have a little Antoine Jones in there too. Antoine Jones, right? Where that person has a good heart. That, you know, they don't want to be doing that lifestyle. They're not out there trying to hurt people, but they are trying to make money. They're doing it the wrong way. Right. But there's better ways to do it. But maybe there's resources out there, and hopefully just help point them in the right direction. And getting arrested is part of correcting people's behavior, right? Right. I do know people who've gotten a DUI, and after that they never drink again because you know, sometimes it's small like that, but also, you know, look at what you've been through. You know, you spent approximately 24 years or so in prison. Right. And that was too much. It's too much. You have a great family. I've met, you know, your wife, and you're very blessed, and it's really nice to have you here. I do have a gift before you leave. Thank you. So this is our, you know, blue to gold. The first thing I want to give you is, you know, just a gift card. It's funny. I gave you this. This is a gift card to we have online training. Okay. But I'm going to put on the back of this the class that you need to take, which is you. Okay. You're going to see you in there. Okay. And you're going to see a video of you. You're going to see how I describe your case, and I think you're going to like what I've done. So there's love it. That's love. Yep. This is what they call a challenge coin. You know what challenge coins are? Have you seen these before? This is a big thing in the military and the police. I think if I have the urban legend, right? It's like you basically have that with you, and you know, when another brother says, hey, you know, whether military brother, police brother, whatever, and they say, hey, where's your challenge coin? If you don't have it, you got to buy them a beer. So this is one of our polo shirts, because hopefully one day you'll be teaching your case in front of my cops. Okay. You know? No problem. Yep. Yeah. There's you should have had this on there. Isn't that cool? Yeah, you should have had the whole. And what I may be most proud of and just happy about is, here's a book that I wrote, Search and Seizure Survival Guide. This is the most popular book in America for cops for search and seizure. Oh, yeah. But guess there's some stickers, but a couple things. Number one, I put some tabs here. Guess what I'm going to turn to? What's that? U.S. versus Jones. Okay. Right? So here is, I just highlighted, you know, this, and of course, boom, there it is right there. The Jones case. Oh, isn't that cool? So, and you have a much better reputation than Miranda. People are still pissed about Miranda, so don't. That's actually kind of cool. And then I gave you this card too because, remember, you know, our conversation about until your case, there was really only one search. It was reasonable expectation of privacy. Right. Nobody really thought about anything else except privacy. Here is a checklist that I give cops about how to think about the Fourth Amendment. And and one is privacy or trespass. So you have definitely made case law. So I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I think it was a great interview. I think people enjoy it as much as I have. And I appreciate your time. And hopefully you have fun in Las Vegas and our paths will cross again. And
we definitely, it's not over with. And I'm definitely going to read this right here.
Yep. You'll probably critique it too. So I'm ready for that too. You'd be like, Anthony, you didn't really find it. Yeah, please. You didn't find that case law. And the last thing is, what website can people go to? I'm going to put some websites in my description, but just so people are listening, what website can people go to learn more about you and your projects and how to support you?
And I have a young lady that assists me.
Yep.
I will have to give that to you.
I'll put that in the description once you give it to me. Okay, because I want people to be able to follow your work, maybe give you some financial help if they are able to. I think that'd be great.
All right.
And then, of course, we'll 50-50 that because I'm Italian. And and that's all I got.
Hey, look.
God bless you. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time. I know your lovely wife is here, and you guys came all the way out to this podcast.
I enjoy being here, and I enjoy watching you doing your work. I mean, I'm learning a lot because I'm gonna open up a podcast. They've been pressing me.
Nice.
Why don't you speak? Why don't you go?
Maybe I'll be a guest on yours.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna definitely,
Yeah.
And I appreciate everybody.
I appreciate you.
All right.
Thank you. Bring it in, bud.